Welcome to the fantasy audiobook. Naruto. Obtain the Deidara explosion-style bloodline and six-path sage body at start. Chapter 81. An overseas island in the country of snow. Shui Wuyubai was wearing a set of the latest version of chakra armor, and his hands were sealed, and immediately a piece of ice crystals condensed in the air, and quickly turned into countless ice and fell. Seeing this, Naruto in the distance couldn't help but say loudly, "Hey, don't use this kind of weak ninjutsu, okay? Didn't I give you the ice escape ninjutsu that Fenghua and Rage had previously done?" Fenghua Rutao is Fenghua Shuihui's uncle. 3 years ago, Naruto's 7th class helped Shuihui kill the opponent and regain the righteousness. Fenghua and Nu Dao's subordinates will use powerful ice escape ninjutsu. Although it is not an authentic ice escape ninjutsu, Mizuki can learn from these ninjutsu. Bai heard what Naruto said, and quickly closed the seal again. I saw a huge narwhal white whale leaping out of the sea. This white whale looks like a real thing, but the body is made of ice and snow. The beluga rumbling down on the island, causing the entire island to vibrate and begin to sink slowly. Seeing this, Shui Wuyubai suddenly had a clever idea, sealed the seal again, and then slapped her palms to the ground. Wow! Starting from the ground under his hands, the surrounding land was covered with a layer of ice and snow, and then the entire island was covered with ice and snow, and even the surrounding sea was completely frozen. The animals that originally stood on the island were all frozen into ice sculptures. Is this frozen for thousands of miles? Neji next to Naruto saw this and murmured, "This kind of ninjutsu is too powerful. If it is used to attack him, he can only escape for his life." However, the previous Shui Wuyubai didn't have such a powerful strength. When the snow was approaching Naruto's side, he stomped his foot, and a fiery wall of fire surrounded him, blocking the cover of snow and ice. "Not bad. It seems that the strength I gave you, you can do well." Naruto looked at Bai, nodded appreciatively, and then asked, "How do you feel now?" "I have used up all chakra. I am afraid I can only use this large-scale powerful ninjutsu once in battle." Bai truly replied, "This is a problem, but don't worry, you will have enough chakra soon." Naruto patted White on the shoulder and said, "Because next, he is going to solve chakra's problem, and it is also possible to add some to the opponent by the way. At that time, the opponent will gradually become a cage-level powerhouse." "Yakumo, how about you?" Naruto looked at the pommel horse beside him and asked with a smile. "It will be finished soon. Kurama Yakumo has been drawing just now, and now he is finally ready to draw. His canvas depicts this frozen island. Now, the oil pen in Yakumo's hand draws a beautiful and huge crystal palace in the middle of the island." Everyone exclaimed in their hearts, not because the other party painted well, but on the small island in front of them. In reality, a crystal palace was really condensed. Fantasy realization. Originally, Kurama Yakumo had the ability to approach fantasy realization. She once gave birth to a thunder and lightning out of thin air and smashed the Hokage building. Now, after Naruto used Bloodline upgrade scroll on her, her ability can be said to be infinitely close to the realization of fantasy. Of course, this kind of fantasy realization must conform to the rules of this world. For example, it is impossible for Kurama Yakumo to realize Transformers. "Yakumo, can you make 1,000 miles of ice like White?" Naruto asked. "Yes, but I need to consume a lot of chakra." Kurama Yakumo nodded. After hearing this, Naruto knew clearly. It seemed that the stronger and more complicated the ability or thing Yakumo wanted to realize, the more chakra would be consumed. At this time, Naruto looked at Kurama Yakumo again. He already had pure red hair and his face was no longer so weak and pale. Because Naruto exchanged for her Uzumaki sage body, it can greatly make up for her weak body, prolong her fighting time, and gradually increase her chakra amount. Even, several other skills attached to sage body can increase her survival rate. For example, Kagura Shinyen can spot enemies trying to sneak up close, and adamantine sealing chains can trap the enemy when she is about to receive a fatal attack. As a mage and assassin, Kurama Yakumo started to make up for his shortcomings. It can also be said that she is growing rapidly now, and I believe it will not be long before she will become a real cage-level powerhouse. Neji on the side, seeing the sudden change of two companions who have been together for nearly 3 years, was shocked and thought of the content mentioned in Naruto's conversation just now. Naruto gave all of this. How could it be possible? I am afraid that only God can do it. But how do you explain the changes in Shiro and Yakumo? The two of them were not so strong before. At this moment, Neji wanted to ask Naruto carefully, but thought that the two people's contract was about to expire soon, and then I was afraid that they would be separated. How did Naruto have nothing to do with him, so he didn't ask? Naruto looked at Yakumo and Shiro, and then at Neji and Hinata, with a confident expression on his face. From now on, we are about to officially enter the murderous ninja world, why not give us a name for this small group? Hearing this, Kurama Yakumo showed a cheerful look on her face. Her childhood was rather special, and she had always longed to become a ninja and show her abilities. Now that she has this capital, she can't wait, why not just kill God? Naruto frowned and shook his head. Sul. How about devil? Kurama Yakumo then proposed. Secondary. No. Naruto shook his head, then looked at Bai. What do you think? Dream. How about this name? Bai Shiden asked. Art. Naruto continued to refuse, then looked at Neji and Hinata, who were silent. Neji shook his head and motioned that he didn't know. In fact, he doesn't want to participate. He will leave soon. The name of the organization has little to do with him. Naruto knew Neji's thoughts and glanced at him with a calm face, and the corners of his mouth could not help but lift it up. HMPH, you will beg me sooner or later. As for Hinata, she always kept silent, standing beside Naruto quietly, grabbing the corner of Naruto's clothes, as if worried that Naruto would run away. Naruto thought for a while, and finally said, just call Nightmare. Watching the others walk away and return to Snow Ninja Village, Hinata pulled Naruto's clothes corner. Naruto-kun, will you defect to Konoha Village? Hinata looked at Naruto and asked carefully and softly, with a dazed expression in his eyes. I know that if I defect, it will definitely affect the two of us together. If you are asked to defect with me, you will definitely be reluctant to part with the Hyuga family. Naruto put Hinata in his arms, took a deep breath and continued. So I need to think about it again, but as long as you are there, it's good anywhere. When Naruto's body was in Shuenin village, the female avatar was not idle. Pain also arranged for her the task of catching the tail beast, but she strongly requested that she go to Sunagakur to see how Deidara and Sasori of the Red Sand caught one tail. In this regard, Deidara does not know how many eyes the white female avatar is. He doesn't have a lot of affection for this fascinating member. Especially, the female avatar actually has the same explosion style and attack methods as him. How can other people deserve to own the most beautiful art like this? For the past 3 years, he has always wanted to compete with the female avatar art, but the female avatar always avoids it in time. Hey, what are you doing here? Are you finally willing to show up? When Deidara jumped onto the white clay bird and was about to rush into Sunagakur and capture Gaara, she asked the female avatar dissatisfiedly. Now, as in the original plot, Sasori of the Red Sand has successfully entered Sunagakur by activating his undercover. Deidara rushed to take the initiative to capture Gaara and show his art. I'm here to save you when you are about to be killed. The female avatar smiled and said while looking at Deidara. Ha, boastful guy. Next, let you take a good look at the real art. Don't think that if you have the same explosion style as me, you can show more perfect art than me. Deidara glared at the female avatar coldly, and flew over Sunagakur. This time, due to Naruto's intervention, Gaara has not been whitewashed, and is still in a blackened state with a grumpy personality. It's just that in the past 3 years, his strength has also been improved, and he is even stronger than in the original book. Whitewashed and died fast, blackened 10,000 years. This sentence is not in vain. Now Gaara is not only powerful, but also able to use the power of one-tail Shuhei freely, and the chakra in his body is endless. As a result, Deidara may be a tragedy. Originally in the original work, Deidara caught Gaara somewhat invincible. Because the battlefield was over Sunagakur, Gaara not only had to concentrate on fighting Deidara, but also to protect Sunagakur from Deidara's explosion-style clay. In the original book, Deidara took advantage of Gaara's weakness and directly threw a C3 doll bomb at Sunagakur. After being whitewashed, he became a wind shadow, thinking that Gaara of Sunagakur had to consume a lot of sand and chakra to block the attack of the C3 bomb, but Deidara took the opportunity to sneak attack. Until he was seriously injured, he spent his last trace of chakra and moved the huge amount of sand covering Sunagakur out of the village. This scene touched countless Sunagakur villagers at the scene, and then, what should the villagers do? Furthermore, Elder Sunagakur just sent a letter for help to Konoha village, and arranged for manpower to defend the border first to avoid being invaded by the enemy. Instead of going to rescue Master Feng Ying who protected the village. When Konoha's reinforcements came all the way to rescue Fukuge Gaara, Sunagakur was unwilling to send a ninja to rescue their Fukuge with Konoha's reinforcements. If it weren't for the old lady of Chiyo who wanted to meet her grandson, Sasori, Akisa, I'm afraid Sunagakur wouldn't be able to get any face. This scene is really moving. And now, Gaara has not become the shadow of the wind. After all, Sunagakur will not let Jinchuriki, a lunatic who often loses control of his emotions, be their shadow. But Sunagakur couldn't find a suitable candidate with cage-level strength, so the elders temporarily manage the village on his behalf. As for the Chiyo and Ebizo sisters and brothers, they have not asked about the world for many years. In this way, the elders take charge of the village situation. Kurigakure also does the same, so it is not rare, and there is no choice. Now, facing Deidara's invasion, Gaara staying in the house didn't want to bother at all. Sunagakur could only stare blankly at the other side to show off his power over the village, and then dropped a bunch of bombs to bombard the village wildly. As for the crossbow bolts used for air defense, even Deidara's fur did not hurt. In the distance, the female avatar standing on the tall Sunagakur wall could not help but raise her mouth when she saw this, and said in her heart, "It seems that it was really cool that the ontology gave me the explosion style at the beginning. The air supremacy is really awesome." As the female avatar was thinking about it, complaints erupted in Sunagakur, and they were getting louder and louder. "Where is Gaara? Where is he? Don't hurry up and stop the enemy. If it weren't for him to attract this enemy, how could our village suffer so much damage? Yes, Gaara won't get out quickly." In the face of the village being bombed more and more fiercely, the casualties were getting more and more serious. Finally, some villagers and ninjas couldn't bear it and clamored for Gaara to show up to fight Deidara. Hearing these voices, Gaara couldn't help clenching her fists, her face sullen. Baki and Konkuro have already arrived in Gaara's room, looking at each other with complex expressions. They have already learned about Akatsuki's existence and plans from Konoha village. One-tail Shuhei is Sunagakur's only deterrent weapon. How can Akatsuki capture it? But now the village is facing a crisis. Not only is the loss getting bigger and bigger, do you want this face anymore? Let the enemy run to high altitude to show off his might. Deidara in the sky heard all the noise in Sunagakur, smiled triumphantly, and shouted to the following. "Gaara, do you want to be a tortoise? Come out and let me kill you." Whoosh whoosh, whoosh whoosh, dozens of sand blasted from the ground to Deidara high in the sky. The speed is not comparable to that of a crossbow. Forced, Deidara had to hide in embarrassment. Gaara's figure finally appeared high in the sky, stepping on the sand, staring at Deidara murderously. The clamor of the villagers and Deidara's insults made him look hideous and angry. Now he is on the verge of losing control again, and the shape of one tail begins to cover his body. Seeing this in the distance, the female avatar thought subconsciously in her heart. If Pain went to Konoha village to capture Naruto, how would the people in Konoha village react? Oh, is he going to transform? It's terrible, terrible, let's run away. Next to him, a Fae who saw this scene pretended to yell, and even touched the female avatar's arm with his right hand as if, accidentally. No matter where a Fae's body touches the female avatar, you can leave the white Zetsu spores on the female avatar's body. That's why he has to pretend to do it unintentionally. As long as there are white Zetsu spores on the female avatar's body, Obito can master the female avatar's traces and behaviors, eavesdrop on the female avatar's conversation, and even give a fatal blow to the female avatar at a critical moment. Snapped. The female avatar clasped a Fae's right wrist with her hand in time, and looked at the masked man in front of her with a smile. A flying thunder god mark was left on Alfie's right wrist along the way. A Fae gave a suffocated expression, then withdrew his right hand, scratching his head awkwardly. Obito under the mask, the corners of his mouth raised, and he secretly said in his heart, "Finally left white Zetsu spores in your hands, let's see where you can hide in the future." But what he didn't know was that the female avatar already had wood style, how could it not perceive the existence of plant spores? Obito couldn't perceive the flying thunder god mark. Ha ha! High in the sky, an angry Gaara immediately started a fierce battle with Deidara. The two giant claws of the guarding crane kept grabbing at Deidara quickly and violently, and there were more than a dozen clouds of sand flying up and down towards each other nearby. Seeing this, Deidara couldn't help but change, as he dodges the bird under his feet, just like a fly being attacked. Soon, sand from all directions closed and wrapped Deidara, forming a huge sand ball. When Gaara was about to squeeze Deidara to death inside, with a bang, the opponent blasted a hole in the sand ball, stepped on the bird, and rushed out panting. But Shaza is chasing him and swears not to give up unless he catches him. Deidara used all his strength and flew to a higher place, temporarily avoiding the attack. At this moment, he, who has always been arrogant, felt a little regretful, did not bring enough clay, and underestimated Gaara, the Jinchuriki. Gaara saw this and raised her hands up. Suddenly, from the Sunagakur ground, a large amount of sand swarmed up, almost covering the entire sky. This is to lay the net for Dita Laboon. Once, Naruto thought, why didn't Pain send Kisame here to deal with Gaara? Isn't water style right to deal with sand? Female avatars who have the same thoughts as Naruto's ontology have thought so too. But now, when the female avatar sees Gaara turning the countless sand in Sunagakur into her own use, she understands that no matter how strong the Kisame water style is, it will be greatly affected in the desert environment. At this time, Deidara saw Gaara explode, knowing that if he followed the game just now, he would definitely not get any benefits, maybe he would be killed. Therefore, he decided to find another way. Similar to the original book, he directly took out a C3 doll bomb and threw it at Gaara. If Gaara avoids, then half of Sunagakur will be blown up. If Gaara does not hide and catches the bomb abruptly, then Gaara will consume a large amount of chakra, and Deidara will immediately attack him. Now, let's see if Gaara can't hide. The villagers and ninjas who are looking up and watching the battle in Sunagakur already know that Deidara's special combat methods are those white earth bombs. Now, when he saw this huge white doll bomb appeared, the fool knew that its power was unparalleled. Sunagakur all boiled and panicked. Some people yelled to Gaara as they ran away, "Gaara, hurry up and catch this bomb." Even if some people don't say it, they think so in their hearts. Isn't it easy to pick up this bomb with the sky full of sand? Gaara high in the sky was unheard of the shouts of some people on the ground. He already knew Deidara's tactics, and guessed that Deidara might be exhausted. Watching the doll bomb approaching, Gaara put away all the spread sand, condensed into a mass, dodged the doll bomb next to him, and then rushed towards Deidara. Deidara's face changed, knowing that her calculation was wrong. He doesn't seem to know the past experience and character of Gaara, Jinchuriki. He digs out his waist pocket with his right hand. There is not much clay left in it. Then he looks at Gaara, who is rushing crazily. Deidara subconsciously looks at Sasori of the red sand waiting at the entrance of Sunagakur. There are also Fungbo Myanmar, female avatar, and a Fae standing on the fence watching the battle. I wanted to show it, but I didn't expect to lose face in front of Sasori. Deidara gritted her teeth and thought. Continue to use C4 Garuda. But that Gaara has absolute defense, I'm afraid it will block the tiny spider in Garuda. Deidara thought quickly, as arrogant as he was, and still couldn't do the embarrassing thing of asking Sasori of Akasha for help. So Deidara stuffed all the remaining clay into his mouth and chewed. Gaara knew that Deidara was about to use a trick, and naturally wouldn't give him a chance, so the whole body turned into a half-tailed animal and became a small guard crane. As a result, his control over the sand has become stronger, chakra has become more abundant, and of course he has become even crazier. The sky full of sand rushed to Deidara like a sea wave, leaving Deidara exhausted, time and time again, dodged the attack of the sand dangerously and dangerously. At the same time, the C3 bomb finally landed on the ground in Sunagakur. Boom, rumble, the entire Sunagakur was like a landslide, and half of the village was blown to ruins in the blink of an eye. I don't know how many villagers and ninjas died on the spot, and the rest of the survivors were also shocked. The elders of Sunagakur, Baki, Konkuro and others, all looked at the unrecognizable Sunagakur in shock, and their hearts were bleeding. After this battle, Sunagakur, who was originally ranked at the end of the 5 great ninja villages, is about to fall out of this category completely. Moreover, I don't know which enemies will come to take advantage of the chaos and even invade Sunagakur. The survivors all raised their heads with red eyes to look at the 2 figures in the sky. Deidara is the culprit, and Gaara is also responsible. There must be more than one enemy. Baki roared at the ninja beside him. All the ninjas who survived, except for the medical ninja to rescue the villagers, everyone else rushed to the entrance for me. For such a long time, the strong defense they had arranged outside the village entrance did not hear any movement. Obviously, there has been an accident there, and there must be enemies there. The remaining thousands of sand shinobi, regardless of their injuries, rushed to the village entrance frantically. Soon, they saw Sasori of the red sand hidden in the night, with the female avatar, Fei. Sure enough, there are enemies. 3 people have been found so far. Kill them. Revenge for the dead companions. The sand shinobi roared, sprinting faster and faster. Idiot Deidara, he made things so big. Sasori of the red sand roared in his heart and had to take out his many puppets and guard at the entrance of the village to meet the sand shinobi who came in anger. At the same time, many sand shinobi attacked the female avatar and Afe who were standing on the wall. Oh, it's not good, it's not good. With so many enemies, let's run away. Afe yelled and turned around, holding his head in both hands, looking terrified. Don't catch the tail beast. The female avatar really admired his acting skills, glanced at him and asked casually. Afe seemed to wake up suddenly, froze on the spot, and then looked expectantly at the female avatar and asked, Men, do you want to help them? Me, no matter. This is their task, besides, they didn't ask me for help. With that, the female avatar looked up at the high-altitude battle. As for the upcoming sand shinobi, she didn't care. Deidara couldn't escape the attack of Gaara, who was a half-tailed animal, and was about to be wrapped in countless sand again. Boom! He directly detonated the big clay bird under his feet, exploded the sand chasing behind him, and stepped on a small bird that was just made, and quickly rushed into the sky. At this time, the C4 Garuda in his mouth was ready, and he immediately vomited to Gaara below. A puppet identical to Deidara appeared, and was known to face the wind. His body quickly grew into a giant, and he hugged Gaara in one hand. Gaara subconsciously wrapped the giant doll with sand, but the doll seemed to be blowing bigger and bigger balloons, bursting the sand outside with a bang, and the whole body shattered and turned into powder. The half-tailed Gaara froze for a moment. He had little self-awareness left, and thought it was just a dud. As everyone knows, C4 Garuda is Deidara's trick. Contrary to the C3 blockbuster, the C4 doll contains extremely small clay spiders that are invisible to the naked eye. Once the doll explodes, these clay spiders will be dispersed in the air in a certain range. Within the scope, if the clay spider is sucked into the body, countless bombs are set between the cells and tissues of the body. In the end, with countless small explosions, the whole creature can be gradually destroyed from the inside out, achieving the effect of complete destruction. If you don't know this trick, or if you don't have the perception abilities like Sharingan or Byakugan, and can detect very small spiders, you won't even know how to die. Of course, even if you notice it, it is very likely that you will still die, unless, like Sasuke, you find that lightning style restrains clay and has lightning style Chidori at the same time. Thinking about it this way, in the original work, Deidara went to kill Sasuke, simply jumping into the toilet pit by herself looking for death. My head is not bright. Because Sasuke's ability completely restrained him. Even Deidara's final self-destruction was restrained by Sasuke's Raichi cave summoning technique. Oh, Deidara is a tragedy. The female avatar shook her head and said. However, looking at it right now, Gaara did not find the murderous intent in the C4 doll. He thought it was a dud bomb, but he had actually sucked a lot of very small bombs into his body. Art is. Seeing Deidara was about to let Jaehyun explode these bombs, the female avatar shouted to him from the fence. Deidara, do you want to kill Jinchuriki? Hearing this, Deidara suddenly woke up. I am not here to kill, but to capture Jinchuriki alive. Thinking of this, he couldn't help being startled in a cold sweat. If Gaara is killed, One-Tail Shuhei will be resurrected for many years. In this way, it would be strange if pain didn't skin him. The other members of Akatsuki's organization couldn't spare him. They waited for so many years, so the pig teammates imposed a delay spell at the beginning. Deidara was so stunned. Gaara didn't care so much, controlled the sand and grabbed his left arm in one fell swoop. Deidara hurriedly controlled the flying birds under her feet, struggling to get away, but couldn't get away at all, and the sand was about to wrap her whole body along her left arm. Click! Deidara felt fierce in her heart, holding kunai in her right hand, and cutting off her left arm all. After breaking her arm to survive, Deidara's body quickly fell down. If you don't run, your life will be lost. Ha, this guy with a bad head is still bloody. The female avatar commented. Senior Deidara, hurry up and ask for help from Senior Fengbo Myanmar. Otherwise, not only will you fail to complete your mission, but your life will be lost. Alfie yelled at Deidara, who was stepping on the bird and falling to the ground, and then suddenly pointed behind him, be careful. When Deidara heard what Afe said, she couldn't help but look at the female avatar, and sneered in her heart, as long as she falls on the ground, can she escape with Earth style? Besides, the female avatar said before that she came here to save herself, but she didn't give the other side a good face at the time. Now, go and ask him for help. How can it be? But Deidara just thought of this. Hearing Afe's reminder, he looked back and saw Gaara's two giant crane claws, which had come behind him, and he was about to catch him. Deidara gritted her teeth and kicked her feet vigorously. The clay bird faced the giant claw and exploded, temporarily stopping the giant claw's speed. He himself took advantage of his strength to accelerate the fall to the ground. Senior Deidara. And, there's more. Alfie's reminder sounded again. Deidara looked back, the two giant claws also accelerated, and grabbed him. At the same time, a cloud of sand has condensed on the ground, rising up, getting closer and closer to him. He was flanked by both sides, but he couldn't change direction in the air. Once caught by the sand, he will be killed. Unless you detonate the very small bomb in Gaara, kill Gaara first. But by doing this, he will be killed by pain afterwards. Faced with a life and death dilemma, no matter how arrogant Deidara is, she has to bow her head. Cut, help, help. Deidara glanced at his female avatar with a smile, and said in a very low voice, while an unnatural color flashed across his face. Hey, Deidara, you are dying. Can't you speak louder? On the fence in the distance, Afe yelled to Deidara furiously, presumably Obito was really anxious because of the current situation. When Deidara heard this, she closed her eyes and shouted, asshole. Help, help. Ha ha, grandson, grandpa is here to save you. The female avatar laughed loudly. Ha, isn't it grandma? Why is it grandpa? Afe murmured suspiciously next to him. I saw the female avatar stretched out her hand to Deidara, a black and gold rope appeared in her hand, and then quickly shot at the opponent. Ha, the immortal rope stretched hundreds of meters long and appeared beside Deidara, entwining him. The female avatar gently pulled back again, and Deidara, who was tied up, quickly avoided the impact of the sand, and came to her in the blink of an eye. Senior Deidara, are you okay? Are you okay? Afe hurriedly came to Deidara who had just stood still, groping up and down in front of Deidara caringly. The female avatar retracted the celestial rope and asked Deidara with a smile. Xiao Di, Milk asks you, does it smell good? As soon as Deidara was rescued here, many sand shinobi attacked the wall, led by Konkuro. Seeing this, the female avatar calmly nodded with one hand. Boom! The ground beneath these sand shinobi's feet suddenly exploded. Most of the sand shinobi were killed on the spot, only a small part of them were seriously injured and escaped and fell from the fence. Deidara gritted her teeth and snorted unwillingly when seeing the female avatar using the same ninjutsu. At this moment, Gaara in the distance looked at the female avatar angrily with pupils that had turned into Shuhei's eyes. Roar! The half-tailed Gaara roared and quickly swooped toward the female avatar. Two giant claws caught the female avatar first. Seeing this, the female avatar smiled, put her right hand into the cloth bag around her waist, took out a handful of clay birds and threw them at the giant claws. More than a dozen clay birds were good at facing the wind and instantly turned into big birds with a body length of 5 meters. Two of the big birds took the initiative to meet the two giant claws, and the rest quickly flew towards Gaara. Gaara snorted coldly, and dozens of sand greeted the flying white bird. As long as it hits, the bird can be confined and squeezed. But to his surprise, when the sand was about to meet the big white bird split into two, quickly bypassing the sand and continuing to fly towards Gaara. Gaara frowned, turning the sand around, chasing the bird. But every time the sand is about to catch up with a white bird, the bird will split into two. In this way, the swarms of little birds are getting closer and closer to Gaara, and they are about to pounce on Gaara. Change of offensive and defensive momentum. The half-tailed Gaara had to use the show crane sand on the surface of his body to form a sand wall in front of him, blocking all the birds. Boom! The flocks of little birds were all detonated, blowing the sand wall almost collapsed. Gaara gritted her teeth and snorted coldly, apparently under a lot of pressure, and also spent a lot of chakra. Suddenly, a cold light shot towards his back, directly into his heart. Gaara sensed the danger behind him at a critical moment, and quickly turned around, controlling the two reformed giant claws and grabbing the cold light. When I got closer, I looked at it. It turned out to be a long sword. It is the sacred sword of the female avatar, Kusunaru's sword. Gaara frowned. He didn't expect the female avatar to have such a weapon, and he was also relieved in his heart. But at this moment, the figure of the female avatar suddenly appeared behind Gaara. 5 weird purple flames emerged from the 5 fingers of his right hand, slapped on his back fiercely. The seal of the 5 elements. The female avatar gave a low cry, and a strange sealing technique was engraved in Gaara's body, directly sealing the one-tail Shuhei chakra in his body. This is the sealing technique used by Orochimaru on Naruto, when Naruto's 9 tails chakra was directly sealed. Now, the one-tail Shuhei chakra in Gaara's body was sealed instantly without any surprise. What? Gaara let out a scream of pain and withdrew from the half-tail beastization, and all the sand on his body fell, revealing his original appearance. Then, Gaara went into a coma in pain. The huge amount of sand in the sky also fell on the ground with a bang, and I don't know how many people were killed. The female avatar behind him smiled triumphantly, grabbed the unconscious Gaara with her arm, and flashed back to the wall. Faye looked at the female avatar, showing admiring eyes, and at the same time yelled. "Senior Numb Face, you are too good." Sure enough, Senior Deidara is nothing in front of you. Deidara, who was next to him, snorted coldly when he heard the words. The female avatar glanced at the provoking Faye, walked to Deidara, and pushed Gaara, who was holding her arm, into his arms. In the stunned eyes of the other party, he patted his shoulder and said, "Xiaodi, the attack methods should be diversified. Don't always rely on explosion-style clay, so that when you encounter an enemy in the future, you won't die so miserably." While speaking, the female avatar left a flying thunder god mark on his shoulder along the way. Facing the teaching of the big guy, Deidara didn't dare to move, looking at the female avatar with a dazed expression, not knowing who the enemy she was talking about was. However, Deidara quickly stopped paying attention, just as the female avatar pretended to be forceful in front of her. He looked at Gaara, who was unconscious in his arms, and wanted to say thank you to the female avatar, but he couldn't hold back his face. I can only lower my head and find Sasori of red sand and shout, "Brother Sasori, one-tailed Jinchuriki has caught it, let's go." By the way, since Deidara messed up things and provoked thousands of sand shinobi crazy attacks, Sasori of the red sand had to summon his biggest artwork, the third cage puppet. And when the disappeared third cage suddenly appeared in front of him and was made into puppets, thousands of sand shinobi were collectively Spartans. Well, isn't this our Lord Third Cage? Master Third Generation mysteriously disappeared back then, how could he suddenly appear here? Are you blind? Master Third Generation has been made into a puppet by the opponent. The other party must be the murderer who killed Lord Third Generation. Who is he? Thousands of sand shinobi temporarily forgot to attack, and all fell into shock and various speculations. He won't be Sasori of Akasago. Finally, an elder who was familiar with Sasori recognized him. What? How could it be possible? By the way, when Sasori defected, was it related to his killing of Third Cage? No wonder. Sasori was the only one in the village who had the power to kill Lord Third Generation. Fart. Sasori wasn't that strong at that time, he must have used traps and poisonous tricks back then. The sand shinobi rushed again, and Baki suddenly shouted, "No matter who he is, we must kill him today, for the village, for Lord Third Cage. Kill. Sand Shinobi broke out with a strong murderous aura again, and ninjutsu, etc. headed towards Sasori of the Red Sand. Unfortunately, they were all blocked by the Third Cage puppets with sand and iron. Third Cage is known as the most powerful wind and shadow. Although it has been made into a puppet, its combat power is still extremely powerful, especially in this kind of desert situation. I saw him under the control of Sasori of the Red Sand, and slapped his hands on the ground. The black sand and iron in the body mixed into the underground sand, directly and quickly set off a black sand wave, covering all the thousands of Sand Shinobi ahead. At least half of Sand Shinobi were buried or injured because they couldn't escape. Its power can be seen in Madara. Even if Sand Shinobi had escaped, it wouldn't be much better, because the dense sand iron Chiban will greet them next. In particular, the sand and iron is also poisoned by Sasori, and you will die if you touch it. As a result, these remaining Sand Shinobi are tragic, and casualties are rapidly increasing. Baki and the elders saw their hearts dripping with blood, and they had to call out Sand Shinobi to retreat and avoid them. Brother Sasori, One-Tail Jinchuriki has caught it, let's go. Standing on a high place, Deidara shouted to Sasori of the Red Sand at the entrance of the village. Sasori of the Red Sand is controlling the Third Cage puppet to fight Jungjawang. After hearing Deidara's yelling, he looked up at him and said in a cold voice. I hate waiting for someone, don't you know? That's Sasori brother, I forgot to bring more clay today. Deidara touched her head awkwardly. Let's go, the boss should be anxious for a while. The boss he was talking about was Pain, who made him awe and fear. I hope there will be no next time, otherwise I don't mind making you an adult puppet. Sasori of the Red Sand snorted coldly, manipulating the Third Cage puppet, and aimed at the Sand Shinobi in the distance. It was a large-scale attack similar to the funeral of a sand waterfall. The Sand Shinobi were scared to retreat further. Then, Sasori of Akasha turned around and walked away without a hassle. Seeing this, Deidara quickly jumped to Sasori's side 5 meters away, carried Gaara, and carefully followed Sasori of the Red Sand to leave. The people in the distant Sand Shinobi saw the other side swaggering away, and also took away the body of their former master Fungying and the only tail beast. They dared not say anything. Only Kankuro wanted to catch up with Gaara when he saw the unconscious Gaara, but was pulled by Baki and said to him in a sad tone. Kankuro, look back at your back. Kankuro was taken aback, turned around and looked back, and immediately understood what Baki meant. Looking around, half of Sunagakur has been in ruins. On the ruins, you can occasionally see some moving figures crying and crying. All Sand Shinobi in front of them were holding their wounds in despair, their morale dropped to the extreme. These are the last remaining ninjas left behind in the village. How many ninjas are there? 700, 600, 500. Even if Sand Shinobi is recalled, how much can there be? Add up to no more than 1,000 people. This was once one of the 5 biggest ninja villages in the ninja world. Sunagakur, ruined. Kankuro bit his lip, blood oozing out, and spit out the last sentence arduously, before fainting. Seeing this scene, the female avatar standing on the fence was inexplicably emotional. This situation is something that is not in the original book, and everything comes from Gaara, who has not been whitewashed. But, can you blame Blacken's Gaara? Gaara, why Blacken? Sunagakur's people don't have B points. The cause of tomorrow, the fruit of today. It depends on the future of Konoha village. Thinking of this, the female avatar threw a big white clay bird, leapt up and rose into the sky. Senior Numb Face, wait for me. Next to him, a Fae had quick eyes and swift hands, and hurriedly grabbed the big bird's paw, and then slowly climbed onto the bird's back in a burst of exclamation. Senior, where are you going? A Fae wiped the cold sweat that was not there on his forehead, exhaled a long breath, looked at the female avatar and asked curiously. Where else to go? Go to the south to block possible enemies, and then participate in the sealing of One Tail. The female avatar looked forward and said calmly. Sealing One Tail's cave is located in the country of Sichuan. In order to avoid Sunagakur reinforcements or other enemies from interfering with One Tail's seal, Pen assigned all the people except Deidara to the cave. In the original book, Itachi and the Kisame team were assigned to the east of Dongfu, and they only needed to block the Gai team from Konoha. However, in order to confuse the enemy, Deidara and Sasori did not go directly to the cave house in the country of River after coming out of Sunagakure, but went to the east, which is the direction of Konoha village. This also resulted in several people from Kakashi who came to Sunagakure a few days later, and the ninja dog who followed the search also came to the east and joined the Might Guy team. In the end, the task of intercepting the support of these two teams fell on Itachi and Kisame. And now, the female avatar has been assigned to the southern part of the country to block possible enemies. In fact, it is most unlikely that there will be an enemy coming from the south. Pain did so obviously because he did not trust the female avatar. Senior, why did you give one tail to Deidara? This is your trophy. Afei continued to ask curiously. I do. The female avatar didn't even look at him, and calmly uttered 3 words. After hearing this, Afei's expression was stagnant, and he knew that he couldn't ask anything. If he entangled, he might be kicked off by the big bird. He thinks that female avatars can really do this kind of thing. He sat helplessly behind the female avatar, looking at the female avatar's back, especially the red hair that was drifting in the wind, thoughtfully. In fact, the female avatar gave the trophy Gaara to Deidara for a reason. One is that only Deidara and Sasori know how to open the barrier of the cave that sealed the tail beast. This was planned by Pen. The second is that the female avatar must cooperate with Naruto's actions next, so she can't meet and fight with Naruto next time, right? After Deidara and the female avatars left, the remaining sand shinobi silently began to clean up the ruins and rescued his companions and the surviving villagers. At the same time, while immediately sending out a distress letter to the ally, Konoha village, while organizing hundreds of sand shinobi to defend the national border to avoid being attacked by the enemy. An hour later, the mother-in-law of 1,000 generations appeared in the ruins. Just like in the original work, no matter how big the Sunagakure is, even if the sky falls, Chiyo will still hide in the corner of the village with Ebizo, and sit firmly on the Daoyutai at his own home. That's right, they really fished safely at home. Even if half of Sunagakure was earth-shattering when it was blown up, they didn't ask them to come out immediately to see what was going on. They are determined to stay away from world affairs and wait for death with peace of mind. It wasn't until their former subordinates were rescued by others that they were able to act after healed their injuries, and came to tell them about Sasori of the Red Sands. Did the Chidai mother-in-law's mood fluctuate? She decided to see her grandson again before she died, and depending on the situation, try to get Gaara back. Now, after seeing her appear, Sunagakure immediately begged her to heal the ninja who was poisoned during the battle. These sand shinobi, who were attacked by Sand Iron and Sasori's puppets, were all infected with Sasori's poison. Unfortunately, Chiyo did not have the ability to detoxify, and these poisoned sand shinobi could only die in pain and despair. As for waiting for the rescue ninja of Konoha village to detoxify. How can it be? Tsunade, the best medical ninjutsu and the most likely to successfully detoxify, as 5th Hokage, it is impossible to come to Sunagakure in person. And the little Sakura who came here in the original book, at this time, I don't know where to have fun with Sasuke. However, 2 days later, support from Konoha village arrived. Although there is no Sakura in the team, there is another student of Tsunade, Shizune. Unfortunately, although Shizune can also detoxify this poison, there are too few herbs to use, so it can only be equipped with 3 antidote. Who to save? Naruto took Hinata and returned to Konoha village from Shuenin village shortly after he was called by Tsunade. Kakashi and Shizune appeared with him in Hokage's office. At present, there are only 3 suitable ninjas that Konoha village can extract. Sunagakure was attacked by Akatsuki's people last night, and Gaara was taken away. Tsunade spoke plainly and simply. They asked us for help, hoping to ask us to send ninjas to recover Gaara. When Kakashi heard it, his face showed a look of surprise. How many people did Akatsuki send to Sunagakure? But Sunagakure didn't resist it. Naruto also made an appropriate look of shock and looked at Tsunade. Shizune, who had been with Tsunade for a long time, knew about it earlier. 4 people, including 2 ninjas who can use explosive attacks, 1 Sunagakure's former rebel ninja Sasori, and 1 person wearing a mask. The ability is unclear. The specific information is unknown. Please find out when you get to Sunagakure. After Tsunade finished speaking, he formally ordered to them. Kakashi is the captain. The three of you will immediately go to Sunagakur, where you will make the next step. I will dispatch the rest of the support. Yes. Kakashi nodded seriously, and disappeared with Naruto and Shizune. Just when Naruto's body went to Sunagakur, the female avatar rode a white clay bird and brought a fae to the predetermined location in the northern part of the country. The one tail will be sealed soon. When sealing the tail beast, everyone must find a secluded place to avoid being disturbed and attacked. Therefore, the female avatar directly kicked a fae off the bird. She was not at ease with a fae. Then, he confidently controlled the big bird and flew into the higher clouds. As for whether a fae will fall to death, isn't it better to fall to death? Naruto, Kakashi, and Shizune were speechless all the way, staying in line, and rushing to Sunagakur quickly. On the way, I ran into Tamari, who had just finished the Chunin exam arrangement and returned to Sunagakur from Konoha village. After the bad news was quickly informed, Tamari was shocked, and the four accelerated forward. When they came to Sunagakur 2 days later, they were all stunned on the spot. Is this Sunagakur sure? Tamari's tears shed on the spot, and the whole person was about to collapse. Kakashi and Shizune looked at each other, then turned to look at Naruto, thinking at the same time. If Akatsuki comes to Konoha village to catch Naruto, will Konoha village be able to stop it? Will it also become like Sunagakur? Naruto next to him can guess what Kakashi is thinking. He sneered in his heart. Wait, then Konoha village will only be worse than Sunagakur. The same miserable Jinchuriki, Gaara has indirectly made Sunagakur pay the price, and I can't be left behind. After the three Naruto arrived, they were immediately invited to the hospital. Sudden, enlighten, Konoha's White Fang. I will avenge my son's revenge today. The first time the mother-in-law saw Kakashi, she seemed to treat him as an enemy. Konoha's White Fang, without asking anything, screamed and rushed towards Kakashi. Bang bang bang. While resisting Chiyo's attack, Kakashi explained embarrassingly, well, I am not Konoha's White Fang, you have admitted the wrong person. Ebizo quickly stepped forward to hold Chiyo, and calmly said to her. Sister, take a closer look. Although they look alike, this kid is not Konoha's White Fang. Besides, Konoha's White Fang died a long time ago. After hearing this, the old lady of Chiyo squinted her eyes and looked at Kakashi carefully, and soon burst into laughter. Well, I'm just demented. Everyone present saw Chiyo doing this and smiled awkwardly. The corner of Naruto's mouth showed disdain. Chiyo is also an actor, and the purpose is to give them offense from Konoha village. It probably means, don't watch our Sunagakur ask you for help, but our two villages had enemies before, so don't even think of arrogantly here. Of course, this is just Naruto's guess, who knows what the old fox Chiyo thinks. Seeing the Konoha reinforcements, Baki looked at Shizune and asked, are you a medical ninja? He mentioned many cases of sand shinobi poisoning in the letter before, and asked Konoha village to send highly skilled medical ninjas. Kakashi and Naruto, he had both met during the Chunin exam, a bit embarrassing. Naturally, Shizune should be a medical ninja. Knowing that Tsunade, the best medical ninjutsu, would not come, Baki felt a little disappointed, so when he saw the young Shizune, he didn't have much hope, so he could only be a dead horse doctor. Yeah, Shizune nodded, not talking nonsense. Looking at the three poison sand shinobi who were lying on the hospital bed, he immediately stepped forward and started checking. This should be a heavy metal toxin. Soon, Shizune revealed the type of toxin and the antidote. Is this so amazing? The Sunagakur medical ninja next to him was a little surprised and suspicious. Because I am Tsunade-sama's disciple, Shizune said lightly. Everyone suddenly realized it, and there was hope in Baki's eyes. Send these herbs that I wrote down right away. Shizune quickly wrote out the prescription on the paper, and then commanded in a straightforward manner. The two medical ninjas next to him heard the words and immediately ran away to prepare. But when Shizune saw the herbs that had been prepared, his face was disappointed. Is this all there? That's all. Our Sunagakur land is poor and we can only grow so many herbs. Sunagakur medical ninja said bitterly. Oh, these herbs are only enough for 3 antidote, Shizune said to Baki and the other elders present. You think about who you want to save. After speaking, Shizune went to the side to prepare the antidote. Soon, several Sunagakur elders made up their minds. Save a poisoned elder and the 2 strongest sand shinobi. As for the other poisoned sand shinobi, they can only watch them die in pain and despair. Because there are not many sedatives and painkillers, these poisoned people can only bear the severe pain after the poisoning. This is the reality, and anyone will do it, so don't shout at will when you are wronged. I bleed for. How could you do this to me? It's useless. Because your value is not big enough. Kakashi got all the information from Tsunagakure and discussed it with Tsunagakure. After knowing that Tsunagakure was not prepared and unable to send Sand Shinobi to recover Gaara, Summoning had no choice but to use his ninja dog to track it down. Deidara's entire left arm was squeezed and left in the sand, as well as Gaara's clothes, which provided the scent for the ninjas. Soon, the 8 ninja dogs left quickly. At the same time, Deidara and Sasori finally came to the cave of Kawa no Kuni. Pen's projection has been waiting here, and after seeing them arrive, he said with dissatisfaction. I know what happened to you this time, Deidara, don't be so careless next time. Yeah, Deidara said with an ugly face, and a voice from her nose agreed. Then quickly start. As Pen projection said, his hands were sealed, and he patted the ground. Boom! The huge and hideous Gedo statue broke out of the ground and stretched out 10 huge fingers. Pen projection, Sasori and Deidara are each standing on a huge finger. Okay, gather together. After Pen projection, the projections of Konan, Z, female avatar, Itachi, Kisame, Hidan, and Kakuzu appeared on the remaining fingers in front of the Gedo statue. There are 10 people including female avatars. From now on, the seal will last for 3 days and 3 nights. You must pay more attention to your own body. Pen projection spoke calmly to the other 9 people. After speaking, different fonts were displayed on the huge fingers under everyone's feet. Including 0, White, Zu, Nan, Yu, Ching, Bei, San, Hai, and there is still time. The female avatar replaced Orochimaru's codename, Sora. Seal 9 seals of magic dragon. Pen projected the knots on his hands and gave a low voice. Immediately, 9 blue dragon-shaped chakras were spit out from the mouth of the Gedo statue, swallowing Gaara. Gaara gradually floated in the air, soaking in these blue chakras, her mouth wide open, and she turned Byakugan. From his mouth and eyes, the 7 red chakra was forcibly dragged out and sucked into the mouth of the Gedo statue. This is the chakra of one-tail Shuhei. When the Gedo statue swallows more one-tail chakra, the eyes on its face will open wider, until the one tail in Gaara's body is swallowed, and the golem's eyes will all open. Tsunagakure. After half a day, Shizune finally configured 3 antidote and rescued the 3 selected Sand Shinobi. At this time, the letter from Konoha village was also delivered by Flying Eagle. In the letter, Tsunade only said one thing: the Might Guy team is on their way to Tsunagakure for reinforcements. Including Might Guy, Shaoli and Tenten, but they lacked Neji, who was already dead in battle. Soon, Kakashi's ninja dog also found the secret cave where Deidara and Sasori were located, and returned to Tsunagakure. While gathering Naruto and Shizune, Kakashi prepared to set off to save people, while dispatching the talking ninja dog Parker to inform the Might Guy team that was coming, and directly took them to the secret cave. Just as Naruto and the others were about to set off, Chio also said that she would join in, and she was going to see her grandson. Of course, Kakashi agreed. After all, one more person would have more protection. As the Naruto and 4 of them were on their way to Kawa no Kuni quickly, Ninja Parker finally found the Might Guy team which was marching towards Tsunagakure. After briefly explaining the situation to them, he took the Might Guy team to the country of River. This scene was discovered by the detection and was quickly reported to Pain. The enemy is approaching us. Ju's voice said hoarsely from the projection, and it is an enemy with considerable strength. The name is Might Guy, Konoha Jonin, who is good at physical skills. Oh, it turned out to be that rare beast, Kisame said playfully. Use Shang Zhuan technique. Pain projection said lightly. I'll stop him, it just happens that there are some personal grievances between the 2 of us. Kisame projection spoke again. He thought of the bad memories of being kicked in the face by Might Guy when he and Itachi went to Konoha village 3 years ago. Yes, anyway, even in Akatsuki, only the one with the largest amount of chakra is most suitable for you to use. Pen projection nodded and agreed. A few hours later, the Might Guy team, which was running fast under the lead of Ninja Parker, encountered the avatar of Kisame after using Shang Zhuan technique. Although this clone has only 30% of the chakra of Kisami's body, its strength is still not to be underestimated. Kisame and Might Guy are two enemies who fell in love and killed each other, but basically every time they fight, Kisame does not take advantage. Although Kisame is very strong and even defeated 8 Tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee, Might Guy's super physical skills happened to restrain him. However, it is not a loss for him to die under Guy Guy. After all, Guy Guy is the one who can dance in front of Six Paths Madara. Who knows, Kisami's avatar has just met Might Guy, and the whereabouts of the Naruto 4 have been discovered. Naruto's body jumped in the woods while glancing at the direction in which Ju had disappeared. No matter how strong the Ju's concealment technique, Naruto's Shanwa body could also be noticed. Natural perception is even more powerful than Kagura Shinyen. However, Naruto was rather anxious to find out the whereabouts of his few people, and then asked Kisame and Itachi to stop them. If Itachi wanted to stop them, he would definitely use Shangzhuan technique to separate a clone, which had to cost 30% of his chakra, and his body strength would naturally drop by a few points. And since Itachi's clone can rush to stop them quickly, it shows that he and Kisami's body position is not too far away. In this way, he can finally find Kisame. Samahata will belong to him soon. And Naruto has been waiting for this moment for a long time. After traveling for another hour, Itachi's clone really stopped in front of the 4 Naruto. Kakashi's pupils shrank when he saw Itachi, and he couldn't help but think of what happened to Tsukuyomi in his body 3 years ago. But he quickly calmed down, because he finally opened Mangekyo Sharingan and gained incredible abilities. In fact, what he didn't know was that the Sharingan he got from Obito had already turned on Mangekyo, but he hadn't had the ability to use it before, or didn't know how to use it. This kid is Uchiha Itachi who killed the whole clan. Chio glanced at Itachi, then immediately looked away, and said in an unclear tone. It's been a long time, Kakashi, Naruto. Uchiha Itachi didn't answer Chio, but calmly looked at Naruto and Kakashi, and raised his right hand at the same time. Kakashi thought Itachi was about to start, and immediately shouted to everyone. Don't look into his eyes, you will get illusion. Itachi's illusion is pupil art, which is also visual system illusion, as long as it doesn't match his eyes. Huh, how do you fight him? Shizune asked nervously. Just rely on the movement of his body and feet to fight. Kakashi said helplessly. He was really scared of Itachi's illusion. It's okay, little girl, although I haven't played against Uchiha Ninja for a long time, there are several tactics to choose from against Uchiha. Chio on the side cast his eyes down, comforting Shizune. What tactics? Shizune looked at Itachi's feet and asked eagerly. As she has followed Tsunade for many years, her combat power is really not worthy of her identity. 1-on-1, you must run away. 2-on-1, take your heart out. Chio said with great experience. When Naruto listened, she couldn't help but sneer in her heart. 1-on-1, you must run away. 2-on-1, you can get your heart out. It means, when playing 1-on-1 with a Uchiha ninja of the same level, you have no chance of winning, so run away. 2-on-1, even if one of them has the illusion in the front, the other can go around behind the Uchiha ninja to sneak attack and knock down the opponent, so that the first person can automatically unlock the illusion. Even if the sneak attack is unsuccessful, you can take the opportunity to hit the first person to help him solve the illusion. When Chio said this, Shizune was relieved. But what Naruto was watching next was just wanting to make complaints, and only listened to Chio continuing to say confidently. We have so many people. Just send one person forward to attract Uchiha Itachi's attention, and the others go around behind the other person to carry out a sneak attack. Kakashi suddenly said at this moment. No, the tactics you mentioned are only for ordinary Uchiha ninjas, but Itachi is different. His Sharingan is named Mangekyo Sharingan, which has stronger pupil power. Kakashi said this and continued with lingering fears. Itachi's illusion is more powerful, and it can't be solved at all. Last time I personally experienced it, and I was in a coma for a whole week. Hearing this, Chio was shocked. Uchiha Itachi on the other side waited quietly for Kakashi to finish and praised. It won't be Kakashi, it's worthy of being a man who has hit me Tsukuyomi once and can survive. Uchiha Itachi's words are nowhere in Furui, but they are always full of a touch of pretense, and they can only be said to be the brother of B. Wengerzuzi. Not only that, I also know that every time you use Mangekyo's abilities, you will become exhausted. Kakashi also looked at Uchiha Itachi with a calm look. Each time you use the Mangekyo ability, you will consume a large amount of chakra, and there are other huge risks. Having said that, Kakashi opened his Sharingan, looked at Itachi meaningfully and asked, Itachi, how much of your vision is left? Uchiha Itachi was surprised. Kakashi, you. He didn't expect that Kakashi, who is not from the Uchiha tribe, actually owns Mangekyo Sharingan. Suddenly, Itachi slowly raised his right hand to Naruto. Naruto, come with me. At the same time, a spirit wave followed Itachi's raised right hand and went straight to Naruto. Naruto's body shook, and his eyes began to trance, but the next second, his body stopped, a sneer appeared at the corner of his mouth, and then a bang turned into smoke and disappeared. Obviously, this is just a shadow clone. What? When? Itachi was startled, and Ji Jing Wubo's face finally showed a trace of surprise. In fact, when Naruto perceives the Itachi clone earlier, he has already hidden the body and split out a shadow clone. At this moment, just when Itachi was stunned, a breeze blew, Naruto's figure followed the wind behind Itachi, and the Sky Thunder sword in his hand was inserted into the back of Itachi. But Itachi's reaction was extremely fast, there was no need for Jian at all, and he hit aside with a bang with the body replacement technique. But Naruto's speed was also very fast. When Itachi had just hid in the bushes next to him, Naruto's figure came at the same time, just like a shadow. Pouch. This time, Itachi didn't expect Naruto to keep up with him, and before he could react, his heart was stabbed through. Not far away, Kakashi, Shizune, and Chiyo were shocked. Is this still the S-rank rebel Uchiha Itachi who slaughtered the whole clan? Is this still the 15-year-old kid Naruto? Puff. Itachi's body showed his true face in the end, it turned out to be Sasori's subordinate Yura. That is, the spy who suddenly turned back against the water at the entrance of Sunagakur and brought Sasori and Deidara into Sunagakur. This is just a special clone, estimated to be only a small part of Itachi's strength. Naruto shrugged. So, I felt something was wrong just now, but I couldn't tell. Kakashi looked at Yura's body and said in a deep voice. Well, isn't this Jonin Yura in our village? Chiyo asked suspiciously. This guy was missing after Gaara was taken away, and his body was not found in the village. Don't guess, he is Sasori's spy. Naruto said impatiently, let's go quickly. He is going to find Itachi and Kisami's body soon, and take this opportunity to take Samahata away. Okay, time is running out, let's go quickly. Kakashi also nodded, and ran forward first. Chiyo also wanted to tell Sunagakur about Yura through the organ bird, but he had to do it. Sunagakur has only a few hundred ninjas left, even if you really know that Yura is a spy, what can you do? It doesn't make sense anymore. Since the Itachi clone was resolved very quickly, Kakashi didn't waste too much energy and time, and continued to move forward at full speed. However, what no one noticed was that the corners of the mouth of Naruto, following behind, rose again. This is also his shadow clone, the body has never appeared from beginning to end. When the body saw that shadow clone had successfully killed the Itachi clone, it left the hiding place silently. Even Jude didn't even notice this. Secret cave house. Jude projection said coldly, Itachi, your strength has regressed. Itachi projection opened his eyes and said calmly, no, Nine-Tails Jinchuriki is too powerful. He is much stronger than it was 3 years ago. Now, it will take more than a day and a half before we completely draw one-tail Shuhei chakra. How can we delay their time next? Absolutely continued dissatisfied and said, they estimate that they will find here in half a day. This time, would you like to stop them yourself? Itachi was silent for a while, then suddenly said, I'm afraid I can't stop them, because an enemy has found me. After all, Itachi's projection disappeared suddenly. Just as the others were surprised and puzzled, Kisami's projection suddenly opened his eyes and said playfully, there is really an enemy here, but I don't know whether it is looking for me or Mr. Itachi. After speaking, Kisami's projection also disappeared. When the others heard this, all their brows wrinkled, and the people they projected like this were most worried about the trouble on the main body. Moreover, as soon as Itachi and Kisame leave, their progress in drawing one-tail Shuhei chakra will slow down again. Ju, go see what's going on. Pen projection said to Ju. Ju projection nodded, and dispatched the clone to where Itachi and Kisame were. Also, who will stop the Konoha shinobi? Pain asked while looking at the projections of the others. The female avatar closed her eyes and remained silent. She knew Naruto's plan well, and knew that Naruto definitely didn't want the one-tail chakra to be taken away by Akatsuki. Therefore, she had been trying to fill up her counts just now, beating soy sauce, and she didn't try her best at all. But now, the storm is numb, go and stop the Konoha shinobi, you are the fastest here. Pain suddenly ordered the female avatar. After Naruto left Kakashi and them silently, he went straight to the Kisame and Itachi bodies he perceived. On the way, he also changed his appearance and became a tall middle-aged man. Then, through the Flying Thunder God technique, he went to Schwerin village and brought Kurama Yakumo, Shonrong, Mizuki Shiro and Neji. Here you are, Naruto, I personally made this for our organization. Shongrin handed him a mask and a set of windbreaker. Naruto took it over and took a look. This mask had a white base with different fierce faces painted on it. But it doesn't look like an evil spirit, but like a god slaying evil spirits in a temple. Looking at this windbreaker again, the high collar is wide, and the style is the same as the Akatsuki windbreaker, but the color is red with black clouds, which is completely opposite to the Akatsuki windbreaker. Shonrong and Kurama Bayan have already worn these. Yes, we are going to fight against Akatsuki. Haha, Naruto laughed and praised Shonrong. You did a good job. It's just that when we all wear masks in the future, never call each other's real names. Naruto put on a trench coat and a mask, and said to the four in a serious tone. Because there is a guy in Akatsuki's organization with very strong concealment detection ability, only me and Neji who turned on Byakugan can perceive him. The four of them nodded in awe. My code name is Tsura. Shongrin's code name Fungi. Because she is good at sealing and medical ninjutsu. Yakumo code name Ito. Because she was occupied by the spiritual monster Ito. Neji codenamed Wing. Because he broke curse mark, caged bird. The white code is Glacier. It's obvious. Okay, let's go. Complete the first mission of our organization. With a big wave of his hand, Naruto rushed forward first, followed by the other four. The bloodthirsty Ito even showed excitement on his face. 5 minutes later, 5 figures stood not far from Kisame and Itachi, and looked at them coldly. Oh, are these your enemies? Mr. Itachi. Kisame opened his eyes and smiled at the 5 Naruto and said. Itachi had spotted them a long time ago, and stood up now, his face solemnly reminded Kisame, get serious, I think they are very strong. Ha, I'm a ninja who is strong when he is strong. Kisame also stood up with Samahata in his hand. Naruto looked at the two and smiled, and then ordered, I will deal with Kisame, and the rest will deal with Uchiha Itachi. After all, Naruto ran away while looking at Kisame. The meaning was obvious, that was to take him to a distance to fight to avoid mutual influence. Kisame gave a weird laugh, and followed with Samahata. He was confident in his own strength and had more information about Itachi. Naruto's move was exactly what he wanted. 5 kilometers away, Naruto stopped, looked at Kisame and smiled. I heard that you have a lot of chakras and are good at water style. Why don't you let me, the French Emperor, teach you a lesson? HMPH, although I don't understand what French Emperor means, you really annoy me. Kisame snorted coldly, I will make you die soon. Water style water burst. Kisame made a seal on both hands, and opened his mouth to spit out a huge amount of water, covering the entire nearby ground. As a water-style ninja, he is used to creating a water-style field first. Naruto smiled, he was prepared for it. Seeing his right foot stomped fiercely, the ground under his feet shook violently, and the ground several hundred meters in radius was torn apart huge ravines. The massive amount of water urged by Kisame flowed into the cracks in the ground, and the advantage in the water-style field was immediately destroyed. Kisame evaded the huge crack under his feet in embarrassment, and the 2 round sharks who looked at Naruto had their eyes widened, revealing an unbelievable look. For the first time, he encountered a ninja who was able to use a wide range of escape techniques like himself. He used to push the enemy with a huge amount of check-ton pull, but he did not expect to encounter an opponent today. You are very interesting. Then, Kisame opened her mouth with sharp teeth and sneered. Water style boom. Kisami's hands were sealed, his mouth was open, and a massive amount of water was spit out, and a huge water ball quickly formed to envelop himself and Naruto. This is Kisami's unique trick, which can force the powerful Eight Tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee to docking and escape. At this moment, a black and white yin and yang face suddenly appeared on the trees in the distance, gloomily watching the battle between Naruto and Kisame. Naturally, it is an old coin, absolutely. I saw that in Kisami's huge water ball. Naruto floated in the water, watching Kisame in the distance gradually merge with Samahata, and then turned into a shark monster. When he rushed towards him, he couldn't help but grin. Haha, I knew you would have this trick. Facing Kisame rushing aggressively, Naruto's expression did not show the slightest tension, but the corners of his mouth under the mask showed a trace of pride. His right hand slowly raised the Sky Thunder Sword, and when Kisame was only 20 meters away from him, the Sky Thunder Sword slammed down at Kisame and pointed at the opponent. Lightning-style Thunder Dragon. Roar! A purple dragon made up of thunder and lightning suddenly burst out from the Sky Thunder Sword, greeted Kisame, opened its huge mouth, as if it really made a roar. This scene seemed to Ju from a distance, as if the gods were punishing the sins, and he couldn't help but suffocate his breath. Thunder Dragon swished and rushed towards the oncoming Kisame. Kisame was rushing into the water, snarling fangs, and thinking about how to kill the masked guy next, when he was suddenly startled by the thunder and lightning dragon that appeared. His body stopped subconsciously, his round shark eyes widened, and when he finally confirmed that he was right in front of him, he swiftly moved to the side to hide. Blink. Kisame, which is integrated with Samahata, is extremely fast in the water. But his expression didn't seem to be rejoicing or relaxed, his fangs and teeth were put away, and there was only one thought in his heart. Gone. I want to know that he can be such a powerful lightning style, and I will not use this big water polo trick to say anything. Kisame, who is experienced in combat, has already anticipated the facts he will face next. Crackling. Water is a good medium for electricity, so the Thunder Dragon in the big water polo is extremely fast. Even if Kisame avoided, he still caught up with him in the blink of an eye and swallowed him completely. All the purple thunder and lightning were concentrated on Kisame. I have only seen others electric fish in the river before, now I am considered an electric shark. Haha. Naruto watched Kisame struggling in the thunder and lightning not far away, feeling happy. If it is on land, I am afraid Kisame can avoid the Thunder Dragon in time, but in the water, the Thunder Dragon speeds up through the mediation of water. Moreover, although Kisame is extremely fast in the water, it is also relative to other people, and compared to himself, the speed is definitely not as good as on land. Kisame is a tragedy. As Kisame fell into the thunder and lightning, his big water polo immediately dissipated. The thunder and lightning dissipated, Kisame fell to the ground with a thud, and Samahata slowly separated from him. But what shocked Naruto was that Kisame, who had just fallen to the ground, was still burnt black on the surface, but immediately stood up with a carp, carrying Samahata as if running away. Naruto was taken aback and reacted immediately. Although Kisame was attacked just now, he must have been continuously treated by Samahata. In the original work, Kisame was beaten by Killer Bee to expose his ribs and internal organs, but with the help of Samahata, he almost recovered immediately. I'm afraid this is also the case just now. With Samahata in hand, is he really the Xiaoqiang from Immune to Death? Naruto cursed secretly, and his figure flashed, and he came behind Kisame, and the Sky Thunder Sword in his hand was aimed at the back of Kisame's neck and he chopped it down. But Kisame's reaction was very quick and he immediately twisted his body and blocked the Sky Thunder Sword with Samahata. However, Naruto will Sage Art Frog Team and can use the surrounding natural energy to attack invisible. In the original book, a pen clone was beaten on the ground by this Sage Art. Now, Kisame is no exception. Boom! Naruto controlled the natural energy and drew towards the opponent's face, hitting Kisame fiercely to the ground with one blow. Ha! Pouch! Kisame was holding Samahata's right arm and was cut off by the Sky Thunder Sword. Kisame whispered in pain, but he acted very decisively. Without looking at his broken arm and Samahata, he jumped toward the crack in the ground ahead. Hey! Seeing this, Naruto exclaimed unexpectedly. Does this know that he is dying and want to give it a try? But what made Naruto even more surprised was that Samahata had a broken arm and wanted to jump down with Kisame. It's beautiful. Naruto stomped his right foot, and suddenly a huge earth and stone hand stretched out on the ground under Samahata, firmly holding Samahata, and then sent to Naruto. His right foot stomped again, and all the cracks on the ground closed bang. It should be possible to squeeze Kisame to death, Naruto muttered. Follow him. Anyway, I got Samahata, and the goal was achieved. If he doesn't die, it won't be too late to kill him next time. After muttering, Naruto looked at Samahata, who was still twisting and struggling in front of him. Mangekyo flashed in his right eye, and he did not move in response to the convenience. Mangekyo's Sharingan can control 3 tails Jinchuriki and 4th Mizukage Yagura. Isn't it easy to control Samahata, which is barely alive? Naruto holds Samahata in his right hand. The first feeling is that he is heavy. Even though he has chakra to nourish his body and keep exercising, he still cannot wave Samahata freely at this time. It can only be said that the power of Kisame is really pervert. System, can Samahata still be upgraded? Naruto stubbornly asked Samahata in his heart. Ding dong. Yes, Samahata is currently at level 3 and can be exchanged for a ninja upgrade scroll to upgrade it to a level 4 artifact. Okay, then redeem it as soon as possible. The points I have now should be enough. After Naruto finished speaking, he saw the Samahata in his right hand suddenly emitting a golden light, and soon, a feeling of inter-mind communication came from Samahata. As this, Naruto was happy. After he used Mangekyo Sharingan to control Samahata, he didn't feel that way. It seems that Samahata, who has been upgraded to an artifact, actually agrees with herself as the master. Naruto's goal has been achieved. Samahata, upgraded to an artifact, can better devour the enemy chakra, and then help him grow chakra. Next, we must rescue Gaara as soon as possible, otherwise, one-tail Shuhei chakra will be sealed in the Gedo statue. That's right. From the beginning, Naruto planned to target the tail beast after getting Samahata. There is also the dragon vessel chakra from the ancient country of Lulan. As for why you didn't take Gaara from the beginning, it was for the sake of safety. First, find Kisame according to the plot and get Samahata. Otherwise, what if he took Gaara away at first, and then couldn't find Kisame? Naruto is naturally the safest way to do this now. Anyway, one tail's chakra is the least. Even if most of the chakra is sealed away, it's not a shame. Naruto is fighting fiercely with Kisame, and the fierce fighting among Yakumo, Karen and Itachi is not inferior. Neji got close, Shiro attacked with ice ninjutsu at the mid-range, and Shongrin wandered around to catch up or heal his teammates, and Kurama Yakumo began to draw at the end. Neji's strength is not enough in front of Itachi. If it weren't for his teammates to assist, he would be defeated by Itachi as soon as he came up. Soon, Yakumo's painting was finished, and the scene in the picture was exactly the current scene, but Itachi's eyes were closed tightly, and 2 tears of blood flowed out, as if his eyes could no longer see anything. As soon as Yakumo came up, he drew a salary from Itachi. Itachi only felt that his eyelids suddenly became heavy, and couldn't help but want to close it, and at the same time, his eyes began to turn black. Illusion. This made him suddenly startled. He was the only one who had magic skills for others, so how could he be illusioned? Itachi turned his 3-gold jade in his eyes, and immediately broke the illusion. He kicked away Neji, who was attacking in front of him, avoided the white ice cone, and came to the front of Kurama Yakumo in a flash, and when he flicked his hand, he shot at Yakumo. After Kurama Yakumo obtained the sage body, his physical fitness improved greatly. Although it still needs time to grow slowly, he can still avoid the attacks of Kumu in time. But as everyone knows, Itachi's ninja throw is very powerful. After he threw the first kunai, he saw Yakumo avoiding to the left, and then threw the second kunai, hitting the tail of the first kunai. The first Kuwuwu immediately turned and shot at the throat of Yakumo, who had just avoided standing still. Yakumo was shocked, and quickly picked up the oil painting knife in his hand, which could withstand the attack of Kumu. But Itachi's attack ensued, and he didn't see his seal at all. He opened his mouth and spat at the undecided Yakumo, and a ball of great fireball sprayed at the unsettled pommel horse Yakumo. At this critical moment, Shongrin, who had been walking nearby, rushed over in time and quickly sealed his hands, and saw a water barrier blocking the great fireball. When the fire and water meet, a burst of white water vapor is ignited, blocking the sight of both parties. Shang-rin took the opportunity to take Yakumo to escape. Neji drove by Akugan, posing as 8 trigrams 64 palms, and fought Itachi. Pop, pop, pop. Neji stepped forward to Itachi, and the operation was fierce, but it turned into a cloud of smoke. It turned out to be only Shadow Clone. As for Itachi's body, it turned out that he was still following the pommel horse Yakumo, and he seemed to have to teach Yakumo, who had just played a big sword, in front of him. At this time, Yakumo buried his head on the canvas, holding an oil knife and oil paint in his hand. Seeing Itachi's figure appeared in front of her again, Yakumo raised his head and looked at Itachi with an evil smile. As soon as Itachi approached Yakumo, he realized that his body could not move. Looking at the surroundings, where the trees on the original land were still the original land, they had already turned into a sea of lava, and the heat waves hit Itachi's body, as if he was going to be burned to death in the next moment. Nice illusion. Itachi looked around with a calm expression, nodded and said, "Say your name." But it was not a verbal answer that responded to him, but the countless magma that pounced on him. Not bad. Itachi shook his head slightly, 3 Tomo Sharingan's eyes rolled, and the lava in front of him disappeared. The original land and trees returned to the front, and Kurama Yakumo on the opposite side also reappeared. But at this time, Kurama Yakumo was full of fear, sweating profusely, and the look of Itachi in his eyes was unbelievable. "It's over." Itachi's voice remained unchanged, looking at Kurama Yakumo as if looking at a dead person. As he said, his body suddenly came to the front of Kurama Yakumo. I don't know when there was another kuna in his hand, and he pierced the throat of Kurama Yakumo severely. Not good. Pouch. Splashing blood. Itachi opened Mangekyo Sharingan abruptly, and the surrounding scenery shattered like a mirror image. Then he looked at the figure of Kurama Yakumo. It was not that Kurama Yakumo left instantly, but that she was not there before, and everything just now was still an illusion. And Itachi's kuwu did not pierce pommel horse Yakumo's throat, but his own throat. Only at the last moment, Itachi sensed something was wrong. Kuwu wanted to stop but found that he was not under his control at all, so he could only hide his neck to the side, causing Kuwu to insert his left shoulder. He immediately opened Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi pulled out the kunai on his left shoulder, and Ji Jing Wubo's face finally changed, with a hint of surprise and anger. "You are very good." Itachi finally carried a trace of murderous intent in his tone. After that, he turned to the left abruptly, and opened his mouth as a fire dragon spit out into the bush in front of him. In his Mangekyo Sharingan's insight, Kurama Yakumo hid in that bush. The fire dragon threw its teeth and claws toward the distant bushes, and a figure immediately jumped out of it. It was the pommel horse Yakumo. Itachi wanted to continue to attack. Neji came to Itachi again and launched 8 trigrams 64 palms. At the same time, a magic mirror ice crystal appeared layer by layer around it, and the sky and the ground were all ice mirrors that fit together, enclosing Itachi and Neji. Neji's 64 palms are very powerful, but they are only at the level of Jonin, and they are not enough to face Itachi. I saw Itachi flying up and down in his hand, blocking Neji for 10 seconds, and then when Neji's attack fell on him, his whole body turned into a group of crows, avoiding the attack. Then, the crows quickly regrouped in midair to resemble a ferret. Then, he aimed at Neji, and opened his mouth. Another fire dragon spurted out. Neji was still playing 8 trigrams 64 palms just now, and now he can't stop it, and Itachi's attacking movements are too fast, so fast that he has no time to react. He could only gritted his teeth and looked up at the oncoming fire dragon in the air. His body tried hard to stop the inertia of 8 trigrams 64 palms and avoid it as much as possible. It seems that serious injuries and even death are inevitable. If it doesn't work, use Revolving Heaven, but Revolving Heaven cannot effectively defend against ninjutsu attacks. At this moment, 2 crystal clear ice dragons sprang out from the surrounding ice mirrors made by the 2 magic mirror ice crystals. An ice dragon coiled Neji tightly with its body, holding its head up and looking coldly at the fire dragon in front of him. Under the impact of the fire dragon, the whole body gradually melted, but it also consumed the fire dragon and saved Neji. The other ice dragon rushed to the Itachi in midair, and if it could successfully smash into Itachi's body, it would surely cause him to be seriously injured directly. Unfortunately, Itachi reacted extremely quickly, easily avoiding the ice dragon, and stepping on the dragon's head with a dashing foot. There was a big pung spreading its wings, and facing the ice mirror above his head, it was a ball of fire. Then his body followed closely behind, seemingly about to take the opportunity to rush out of the magic mirror ice crystal. It's a pity that Shui Wuyubai, whose bloodline of Bingdun has been upgraded to a god level, is no longer Wu Xiaoman, and the fire dragon cannot break the defense. Instead, an ice dragon broke through the fireball of Itachi, swooped down, and opened its mouth to bite at the Itachi, whose body was rising in the air. At the same time, another ice dragon that had just been evaded by Itachi went up from below and continued to rush towards him. Two ice dragons fought Uchiha Itachi up and down. Itachi's body once again turned into a group of crows and dispersed, and then gathered around. But when he looked around, 7 more ferocious ice dragons appeared in the surrounding ice mirrors. A total of 9 ice dragons appeared in the small magic mirror ice crystals, all rushing towards Uchiha Itachi with their teeth and claws. The magic mirror ice crystal can be regarded as waterless and moonless ice domain. In this field, Uchiha Itachi seems to be slaughtered almost. Because only the extremely powerful fire style can burn these 9 ice dragons at the same time, and even melt the surrounding magic mirror ice crystals. Coincidentally, Uchiha Itachi has such a fire style. Amaterasu, Uchiha Itachi said in a low voice. Faced with this almost desperate situation, Itachi also had to use a stronger strength to break the game. He saw his body rotate once in place, and a black flame burned all around. Amaterasu's flame power directly melted the 9 ice dragons around and spread to all ice mirrors. In just a few seconds, all the ice mirrors melted, except for a few ice mirrors above the head, and the magic mirror ice crystal field was cracked forcefully. Only a ring of Amaterasu flame remains. In contrast, Itachi shed a tear of blood in his right eye. The exhaustion of a large amount of pupil power not only closed his right eye, but also caused his body to appear exhausted, and he couldn't help but panting. The Mangekyo in his left eye was still open, but he couldn't hold on for too long, but he didn't dare to close it, otherwise it would really be possible to hit the illusion of the pommel horse Yakumo again. Must be a quick fight. Ha! At this moment, Xianglin rushed out from a distance with a dazed expression in his eyes, jumped into a circle of Amaterasu flames, and fought with Itachi with kunai in his hand. Itachi forced his spirits up, and the ping-pong and Xiangrin fought together. However, Xiangrin's physical skills were not good, and the 3 strokes were pierced in the abdomen by Itachi with kuna. I thought that Xianglin would die, but who knew that Xianglin actually held the right hand of Kuwu's Itachi with both hands, clinging to it. At the same time, dozens of golden chains were suddenly shot out from behind her, locking the caught Itachi. This is Xiangrin's adamantine sealing chains. Sealed ninjutsu that can block 9 tails. It's now, Xianglin shouted loudly. But the strange thing is that Xianglin raised his head and looked at Itachi with a blank look. Seeing this, Itachi frowned, and blurted out in confusion, "You got a illusion. Could it be that your teammates tricked you into being a dead man?" It's now, Xianglin yelled, pulled out Itachi's right hand and Kuwu in his hand, and controlled the chain to lock his hands tightly. Then he grabbed the kunai in his hand and stabbed at Itachi's neck. Looking at the masked ninja Karen in front of him, although Itachi hadn't immediately understood whether the opponent was actually in the illusion, at least he must be a ninja of the Uzumaki clan. I also understood that I was controlled by the adamantine sealing chains that was specifically used to control the tail beast. If you want to break free in time, you can only kill or control the caster, that is, Xiangrong in front of you. Just when the Kuwu in Xiangrong's right hand was about to pierce Weasel's neck, suddenly, a vine suddenly emerged from Xiangrong's feet, and it entangled Xiangrong's right hand with a snap, and then tightly strangled her neck. Obviously, this is definitely a rescue. Seeing this, the pommel horse Yakumo in the distance not only didn't have a trace of worry, but a trace of pride appeared at the corner of his mouth. Sure enough, it seems that what the boss Naruto said was right. There is a fascinating guy hiding around and will save Uchiha Itachi at a critical moment. But you will still lose, Uchiha Itachi. Seeing this, Shui Wuyubai urged several ice dragons to rush towards the Itachi. Definitely want to stop the powerful ice dragon, but it will take some effort. Besides, there is another Neji who knows Gentle Fist. I don't know when he will suddenly appear. Itachi was thinking about this, and when he was eager in his heart, he felt that the golden chain on his body had actually loosened a little. Although his actions and fingers were still imprisoned, chakra could be used. He looked at the Shangrong in front of him again. His complexion was already red, and he was extremely uncomfortable. It is estimated that adamantine sealing chains was also greatly reduced in effect. Wait a while, once Shang-Rin dies, adamantine sealing chains will completely dissipate. But Uchiha Itachi couldn't wait, because he couldn't stop the ice dragon. Neji was rushing towards him too. Facing the critical juncture of being killed soon, his fingers were bound, and Uchiha Itachi, currently driving Mangekyo Sharingan, subconsciously used a powerful attack on Shang-Rin's Tsukuyomi. The powerful illusion, Tsukuyomi, which can kill the enemy in an instant, at least can make the enemy mentally break down, just works on Shang-Rin's body. Illusion is to attack the opponent's 5 senses and put chakra flowing in his brain and nervous system under his own control. But it's Tsukuyomi, Sage Art Toad Pro Sing, or other powerful illusions, the essence of which is the same. Izanagi and Izanami are not discussed here. If you want to crack the illusion, you need to reverse it and find a way to completely disrupt the flow of chakra in your body, so that you can get rid of the enemy's control of the flow of chakra in your brain. If you break the illusion by yourself, you need to stop the flow of chakra in your body first, and then break out chakra in an instant. If you are helping others to crack the illusion, you need to enter your own chakra into the opponent's body, which can disrupt the flow of chakra in the opponent's body and help the other party to get rid of the illusion. Just now, in the tactics discussed by Yakumo and Shang-Rin, Yakumo has used his God level 5 sense illusion ability to control the flow of chakra in Shang-Rin's brain. It's just that in the illusion that Yakumo built for Shangrong, Itachi is still the enemy and its position has not changed, so Shangrong can still attack Itachi, using adamantine sealing chains to control Itachi. In her illusion, Yakumo is controlling her action. Yakumo's 5 senses illusion is so strong that even if Shang-Rin was strangled, he still couldn't get rid of it. And now, Itachi also used a powerful illusion, Tsukuyomi, on Shang-Rin. If Shang-Rin itself has no illusion, and the flow of the brain chakra is not controlled by the 8 clouds, then at this moment, the flow of the brain chakra will be controlled by Itachi. But in fact, Shang-Rin was hit by the 5 senses illusion, and the flow of chakra in the brain has been controlled by Yakumo. At this moment, Itachi's illusion attack disrupted the current chakra flow in Shang-Rin's brain, which also disrupted Yakumo's control. Tsukuyomi, the power is no more than that of the God level 5 senses illusion. As for the same or not comparable, let's say another thing. Anyway, Itachi's illusion attack Tsukuyomi only serves to help Shang-Rin attack poison with poison and unlock the illusion of her 5 senses. Then, there is no more. Shang-Rin is awake, and he hasn't been in the Tsukuyomi illusion. But this tactic succeeded in causing Uchiha Itachi to waste Mangekyo Sharingan's pupil power in vain. This is the first time Tsukuyomi has been cracked. Only the pommel horse Yakumo of the same Grandmaster illusion can think of and do it. You're done. After Shang-Lin woke up, he immediately recalled everything and saw Itachi's left eye began to bleed and tear. Although Itachi was holding on, it was obviously the end of the crossbow, and he could hardly open his eyes. Itachi was already shocked in his heart, and the blow to him in today's battle was too great. This is the 3rd time he feels this way. The first time came from Obito and the second time came from pain. At the same time, he was awakened suddenly. Why would Shang-Lin hit his teammate's illusion ahead of time? I'm afraid the other party has already calculated everything. Including Ju's rescue and the proper removal of adamantine sealing chains' seal on his chakra, they have all been calculated by the opponent. Time has not allowed Uchiha Itachi to continue to be shocked. The ice dragon has broken through the absolute barrier and will bite his head with a huge mouth. Although Shang-Rin was awake, but the vines that were still extinct were about to be strangled to death. Adamantine sealing chains really couldn't be maintained anymore, and they dissipated with a bang. This is the biggest loophole in the whole plan. It also gave Uchiha Itachi a chance to fight back. Suddenly, at the moment when Itachi was about to be killed by the ice dragon, a scarlet skeleton suddenly appeared outside his body, blocking the next ice cone's attack, and knocking Shangrong away in an instant. This is Susanoo Mangekyo Sharingan's unique ninjutsu, a magical skill. Itachi held the skeleton giant's right hand tightly, and when he was about to fight back, a voice suddenly sounded from the side. Itachi, stop and retreat. Kisame has already lost. Uchiha Itachi was stunned at the same place, and looked to the side subconsciously, only to see Ju coming out of the ground with an anxious expression. Although I don't understand what happened, Itachi has extremely high combat literacy, so he immediately removed Susanoo, turned around and ran. On Yakumo's side, he also didn't understand what happened, but he saw Itachi was about to run, so he was ready to arrest again. On the canvas in front of her, she drew dozens of thunder and lightning from top to bottom. Suddenly, in reality, dozens of thunder and lightning fell from the sky to Uchiha Itachi. But Uchiha Itachi jumped up and down, avoided the lightning attack while escaping, then jumped to the ground in front of him, and disappeared. At the same time, Naruto also rushed over. When he saw Itachi's figure, he still wanted to chase after him, but he didn't expect that the other party would be rescued directly. Naruto thought bitterly, if given the chance, he would be the first to kill. After cursing, Naruto came to Shongrong, who was seriously injured on the ground, with a milky white light from her right hand, and placed it on her neck. She was almost strangled to death by a vine and was bombed by Susanoo. If it were a normal ninja, she would have died long ago, but Shongrin has a god-level Uzumaki clan sage body. And now, healing jutsu, which Naruto used chakra to urge, has an excellent healing effect. Coupled with Shongrin's own recovery ability, in just a few seconds, Shongrin hugged Naruto blushingly and refused to let go. Naruto looked at the approaching Kurama Yakumo, and nodded blankly. The battle just now performed well. When your physical fitness strengthens, and master some physiques and ninjutsu, the next time you fight Uchiha Itachi, you will be much easier. Hearing this, Kurama Yakumo's expression was smug, but who knows, Naruto's tone changed immediately. But don't make any tactics that will sacrifice your teammates in the future, otherwise I will kill you. Having said that, Yakumo's proud face was suddenly hard to look, but facing Naruto, she did not dare to refute at all, so she could only lower her head and stay silent. And you, just hold Uchiha Itachi, why take such a big risk? Naruto frowned and looked at Shongrin, who was still resting on her body. With that said, he was about to push Shonglin down. Because, I want to help Naruto-kun kill powerful enemies and make Naruto-kun easier. Shongrin lowered his head and said in a low voice. Naruto heard this, but the hand that wanted to push Shongrong away froze in place. The capture of Samahata is just the first step in Naruto's plan. Now that he has succeeded, the second step is about to be executed. So, he gathered 4 people and went straight to the secret cave where Gaara was. On the other side, the female avatar with the pseudonym, Fengbo Myanmar, has flown over the Kakashi team. Seeing Kakashi, Shizune, Chio and Naruto's shadow clone moving fast, the female avatar couldn't help grinning. She will not do her own hands on the Kakashi team, otherwise Naruto's shadow clone may be affected by the battle and dissipate. She doesn't even do anything to the Might Guy team. How to say Might Guy can be regarded as Naruto's physical training teacher. However, Akatsuki's mission is still to be completed. She herself does not want Konoha and others to find Gaara so quickly, because Naruto has already decided to take Gaara away. As a result, the female avatar planted a large number of clay bombs in front of Konoha and others, laying a wide range of minefields. In this way, the best of both worlds. Sure enough, 2 hours later, the 2 ninja dogs leading the Might Guy team and the Kakashi team noticed the abnormal situation ahead. The 2 teams also immediately discovered the existence of minefields. The buried location of the clay bomb was uncertain, and earth style could not be used to clear it. They also didn't have a better way to dismantle the bomb, so they had to change their direction and figure out a way to go farther. After the female avatar reported the situation to Pain, the other nodded with satisfaction. Although the female avatar does not fight against Konoha shinobi like Itachi and Kisame, her method is very effective. On the other hand, the current Itachi and Kisame were defeated by 5 guys who suddenly appeared. Kisami's Samahata was lost, and Itachi's eyes were temporarily unusable. This put a haze on Akatsuki's actions to seal One-Tail Shuhei chakra, and brought huge hidden dangers. Because the 5 Naruto quickly came outside the secret cave. Inside the cave, the projections of Itachi and Kisame had just revealed the intelligence of the 5 Naruto, and Pen looked at Sasori and Deidara who were present. The rest of us can't arrive in time. The storm has to stop Konoha Shinobi. Only you two can stop the mysterious group of 5. Pain Projection said in a serious tone. Hey, where did these 5 guys suddenly come from? Our trip was too bad. Deidara complained. My avatar is investigating them, but there is no result for a while. Ju's Projection said, with a hint of helplessness in his tone. This is the first time he has encountered this kind of accident. He only learned after he rescued Itachi. The masked ninjas seemed to have known his existence for a long time and made countermeasures. This is a bit difficult, and I am afraid that his investigative actions will also be affected in the future. Don't complain, just solve the immediate matter first. One-tail Shuhei chakra is only half sealed. In any case, we must stick to the end. Pain said coldly. Deidara, Sasori, you hold them first. I will be able to rush to the cave in person soon and kill all accidents. Pain's words were full of confidence, and it made the other members of the Akatsuki organization feel at ease. They were very awed and convinced of Pain's strength. After all, the Pen projection disappeared decisively, but then, Alfie's projection went online, obviously to fill the gap. Although everyone feels that Alfie's strength is too poor, but in this situation, it is always good for one more person to participate in the seal of one tail. Hi, seniors, everyone. As soon as Afe Projector appeared, he warmly greeted the members of the Shao organization present. Shut up, hurry up and seal it. Kakuzu Projection yelled impatiently. Afe's tone was stagnant, shrugging indifferently, his hands were sealed, and he joined the one-tail seal. It was his goal to seal the tail beast. Naruto and the 4 of them stood outside the entrance of the cave, watching the boulder open. Sasori and Deidara walked out slowly, grinning involuntarily. After Deidara came back from Sunagaku embarrassed a few days ago, she directly participated in one-tail seal and had no chance to create detonating clay. At this time, there was no clay available on her body. In other words, his current strength is greatly reduced, and unless he explodes himself, it is only Jonin's level. As for the Sasori of the Red Sand, no matter how many puppets, can he fight back against faculty head-on. I'm going to deal with Sasori of the Red Sand, you go to deal with Deidara. Naruto smiled and said to Yakumo and the others. Don't worry, that guy Deidara is now a toothless tiger. When I clean up Sasori of the Red Sand, I guess you will be able to get rid of Deidara. While Naruto was talking, Sasori and Deidara in the distance were also whispering. Deidara, I will deal with their strong leader Naruto and the remaining 4 will be handed over to you first. Don't worry, I will kill each other soon to support you. Regarding Naruto's tricks, Sasori has obtained some information from Kisame, knowing that he is good at powerful earth style and lightning style, as well as strange body skills. It is also very clear that Naruto is an extremely difficult enemy. However, he is very confident in himself, because the sand and iron of the 3rd cage puppet can conduct electricity, which will greatly restrain the lightning style, and the sand and iron can also restrain the earth style to a certain extent. As for physique, haha, the poisoned puppet specializes in restraining physique. So, when Sasori came up, he took out his beloved 3rd cage puppet, full of confidence in his heart. Report your name, you will be lucky enough to die under the artwork that I am most satisfied with. Sasori's hoarse voice sounded, and his tone was filled with indifference and disdain. In his opinion, Naruto just happened to be the master of lightning style and restrained Kisame, but these are scumbags in front of him. You can call me Dad, Naruto said with a grinning look at Sasori. Sasori's tone became cold when he heard the words. Originally, I was thinking about making you an adult puppet after killing you, but now I have changed my mind. I will smash you into pieces. After speaking, he controlled the 3rd cage puppet to rush towards Naruto. Soon, a wave of sand and iron appeared like a sea wave, and formed countless fine needles to shoot out at Naruto at an extremely fast speed. Seeing this, Naruto stomped his right foot, and a thick wall of soil rose from the ground, blocking the sand and iron attack. Sasori in the distance snorted disdainfully, sure enough. Immediately, he continued to control the wind shadow puppet, condensing the sand and iron into a huge cone, slammed through the soil wall, and stabbed Naruto fiercely at the back. Boom! The stabbed Naruto turned into a cloud of white smoke, apparently it was just shadow clone. At this moment, a 10-centimeter thick thunderbolt condensed into a pillar, pierced from under the Sasori of the red sand, and directly divided the red amber into two. The key to dealing with the puppet master is to deal with his body. Sasori couldn't react, and could only let Fei Liuhu be divided into two, but the main body quickly jumped out from the inside, his hands moved slightly, and the sand iron cone pierced into the ground fiercely. Boom! The huge iron sand cones were all submerged into the ground. If Naruto, who was hiding in the ground, did not evade in time, he would definitely be stabbed to death. HMPH, destroying my Filahu, just letting you die like this is too cheap for you. Sasori waited for a while, watched no movement from the ground, thought Naruto had been killed, and said disdainfully. Just as he was about to help Deidara, a voice suddenly came from behind him. Hey, what are you going to do? Sasori turned his head back abruptly while controlling the third cage puppet, pulling the sand iron cone out of the ground, and piercing the sound source behind him fiercely. Sage Art Wind Style Dragon Roll. Sage Art Fire Style Extinguish the Fire. Naruto slapped both hands, and two evasion techniques were activated at the same time, and a violent wind swept the flames, forming a violent sea of fire, facing the sand cone. The figure of the iron sand cone shrank quickly in the sea of fire, which surprised Sasori's heart. The temperature of the sea of fire is so high that even the iron sand can melt. Seeing the sea of flames continue to sweep towards him, Sasori immediately controlled the wind shadow puppet to quickly condense a second sand iron cone, spinning at high speed, and dug a tunnel under the ground. Then he took the third cage puppet and went into the ground immediately behind the sand iron cone. At the same time, Deidara and Yakumo, who were fighting a kilometer away, only felt a heat wave on their faces, sweating profusely, and even breathing with a burning sensation. This kind of fiery power has surpassed everyone's cognition. At this moment, a large number of sand iron spears were suddenly pierced from the foot where Naruto was standing, and Naruto's body was directly pierced. At the same time, two figures broke out one after another. The headed Fengiying puppet had burnt his legs and his clothes were torn, looking very miserable. Sasori's puppet body is not much better. The handsome mental boy was scorched all over, and his red hair was curled up like unkempt hair. But Sasori didn't care about this. It was enough to escape from such a sea of fire and kill Naruto. Boom! Just thinking of this, Sasori saw Naruto, who was pierced by a sand iron spear, suddenly turned into a cloud of white smoke. Sasori was shocked and jumped back without hesitation, blocking the wind shadow puppet in front of him, and a sand and iron wall appeared immediately, completely protecting Sasori and the wind shadow puppet inside. Sage Art Wind Style Spiral Shuriken. Naruto's figure appeared on top of Sasori's head, holding an oversized spiral shuriken that was spinning at a high speed in his right hand, and threw it at Sasori. Boom! The spiral shuriken with powerful energy easily penetrates the sand and iron wall, and when it encounters the wind shadow puppet blocking Sasori, the energy in it bursts out instantly. There seemed to be countless violent tiny wind blades raging around, directly obliterating the third cage puppet. The Sasori next to him was not much better either. His figure moved away quickly, and at the same time he took out a scroll and instantly summoned 100 red puppets. However, these red puppets did not step forward to resist the wind-style spiral shuriken, but fled in all directions. Boom! When the spiral shuriken dissipated, only a large pit with a diameter of 200 meters was left in the same place, and there was not even a scum left behind of the third cage puppet. On the edge of the big hole, Sasori's head can be seen vaguely, falling there alone. Looking around, nearly 100 red-clothed puppets fell to the ground, as if they were abandoned. It seems that Sasori should have been killed. But Naruto knows very well that the cunning Sasori has implanted his regenerative core into a certain puppet. The red puppets scattered around can re-fight under his control at any time. Seeing this, Naruto sneered in his heart, but with a triumphant smile on his face, he walked among the red puppets at random, looking at them curiously. Sure enough, just as Naruto bent down to look at a puppet structure, the puppet suddenly moved, and the long knife in his hand slammed into Naruto. Naruto, who had already prepared, stepped away in time and stood aside again. But when he raised his head, he could only see that nearly 100 puppets had surrounded him from the surroundings and the sky, and then attacked him without hesitation. I found you. Seeing that Naruto was not nervous at all, he laughed. He has sensed Sasori's hiding place. Basically, the fingers of the other red puppets did not move, except for the one hidden at the back. At this time, a slight breeze blew past the puppet, and Naruto followed the wind, waving the heavenly thunder sword in his hand. Pouch. Hidden in this puppet's clothes, the regenerating nucleus on the chest was cut in half and blood dripped. In this way, Sasori of the Red Sand did not even have a last word, so he received a box of lunch. "Oh, I haven't tried my best, why can't you do it?" After killing the famous Red Sand Sasori, Naruto felt a little sense of accomplishment in his heart, and couldn't help but pretend to say something. Pulling out the heavenly thunder sword, his gaze looked at the place where the four of Yakumo and Shangrong were in the distance. Coincidentally, the battle over there was about to end. Without clay, Deidara couldn't even fly. On the land, he flew easily and was battered by the illusion of the five senses of the pommel horse Yakumo. Seeing that Deidara was about to be killed, Naruto instantly came to Yakumo with the Flying Thunder God technique, and then a thunder and lightning passed by, taking advantage of Deidara's head before he blew himself up. The next step is to snatch Gaara away and use Samahata to consume one-tail Shuhei chakra. After waiting for a long time, I finally waited until this day. Chapter 91. OHA Yo. Ladies and gentlemen, Naruto walked into the cave and greeted the projections of the Akatsuki members who were standing on their huge fingers, expressing his goodwill. Unfortunately, these guys are still as cold as ever, staring at Naruto. How long has passed since Sasori and Deidara, the two trash, didn't even hold on for such a time? Hidan spoke disdainfully. The others didn't speak, but there was an anger in their hearts. They know that the organization has been dormant for so many years, and the first collective action was born, and it was about to fail, and they were also defeated by these little-known guys. Not convinced. But so what? Naruto didn't care about it. He pointed at the Gedo statue with the heavenly thunder sword in his hand, and with a thunder and lightning, one of the opponent's eyes was smashed. 9 seals of magic dragon, the chakra seal on one-tail Shuhei also stopped, and Gaara fell to the ground with a bang. The members of the Akatsuki organization watched this scene silently. Although they didn't speak, the anger in their hearts could be imagined. Since you guys don't have any comments, then I will leave first. After Naruto finished speaking, he gripped Gaara, who was lying on the ground in a coma. A whirlwind came out of nowhere and rolled Gaara's body to his face. Then, Naruto took the Shangrong 4 and left the cave in a swaggering manner. It seems that our next task of capturing the tail beast will be temporarily stopped. Hidan said strangely. He came to Akatsuki at the latest, and he didn't have a strong sense of loyalty to Akatsuki and his ideological identity, coupled with his crazy personality, that's why he made such a statement. The projections of Kakuzu, Konan, Ju, and Afe still did not speak, but I am afraid the same is true in my heart. Sealing the tail beast, one less is not perfect, it will affect the final plan. One-tail Shuhei only sealed half, and the remaining half has to be taken back. Now, just wait for Ju to follow the 5 guys Naruto, and then Chopin the way to grab Gaara back. Afe was angry, but he could only wait for a while. He felt that Pain should be able to solve the matter. But this idea is destined to be impossible to achieve. Not long after leaving the cave, Naruto came to a tree trunk with a flash, and squeezed a white humanoid with his right hand forward. It is the white Zetsu clone who has been following them. As for Ju's body, it should have not arrived in time. After killing the thing that was monitoring him, Naruto immediately took the Shangrong 4 and Gaara and disappeared in place with the Flying Thunder God technique. When they reappear, they are on a small and desolate island. This is a secret base prepared by Naruto in advance, waiting to be used to absorb the tail beast chakra. The secret base is located at the bottom of the island, and you need to go through Earth style to sneak in. For concealment considerations, the base is not big, and it is similar to a basketball court. There are 3 levels of enchantments around it, which have the functions of concealment, warning, and defense. Naruto placed Gaara in the center of the base and said to the people of Mizuki Shiro. Next, I will use Samahata to absorb one-tail chakra first, and then you, bye. White nodded, his face was calm, he was not interested in the improvement of strength and killing, the current fighting and behavior are controlled and persecuted by Naruto. Others watched me around. Naruto continued. Hearing what Naruto said, Shongrin, Kurama Yakumo, and Neji nodded in response. They are in awe of Naruto's strength and curious about Naruto's various fantasies. It is hard to imagine that the ninja world actually has this method of rapidly increasing the amount of chakra. Naruto looked down at Gaara lying unconscious on the ground, opened his stomach, and saw a simple sealing technique. Sunagaku's tail beast seal technique is really rubbish, which leads to Gaara being often harassed by one-tail Shuhei, and often emotionally out of control and killing. With this rubbish seal, 4th Kazekage still blames his son for not being able to control the tail beast, which is really sad for him. Naruto has a superb level of seal technique talent, give him some time, he can completely crack this seal technique. But he has no extra time now, so he can only adopt a rough method, making a strange unprinting gesture with both hands, and patting the seal technique directly and violently destroying the seal. Roar! One-tail Shuhei roared out of Gaara's body, his body filled the entire base, and a terrifying breath erupted from his body. The teeth and claws were about to pounce on Naruto in front of him. The 4 people around Bai and Yakumo were a little pale, facing the giant tail beast, no one could deal with it indifferently. In the past 2 days, One Tail was extremely angry and frightened, and watched as he was forcibly pulled into a terrifying container by a group of strange people. This feeling is like cutting a person piece by piece. Now that it has finally come out, it is natural to vent its revenge. Unfortunately, it chose the wrong object. Naruto smiled disdainfully at Shuhei. His eyes suddenly turned into the appearance of a blood-red 8-pointed star. Mangekyo. Under the control of Mangekyo Sharingan, One-Tail Shuzuru's expression suddenly became dull, and the horror aura exuding all over his body disappeared. It crawls obediently on the ground, like an obedient civet cat, waiting for its owner's favor. The seal was broken and Gaara was about to die soon after One-Tail Shuhei came out. However, Naruto felt that Gaara was still useful, so he thought about it, and cut off one of One-Tail Shuhei's claws with the Sky Thunder sword, and sealed it into Gaara's body again with the 8-sign seal. In this way, Gaara should still survive. In the original book, when 8 Tails was forcibly dragged out of the Killer Bee, it left one of its tails in the Killer Bee to make it alive. After completing this, Naruto's mouth raised, holding Samahata and stepping on Shuhei's head, inserting Samahata into its head fiercely. Samahata, who was already trembling with excitement, swallowed chakra with a big bite, and then under Naruto's control, he fed back all of it to Naruto, rapidly increasing the amount of chakra in Naruto's body. Shuhei screamed in pain, but still crawled on the ground, obediently not daring to move. This situation lasted for a day. When Shozuru had shrunk to the size of 2 adults, Naruto finally stopped and handed Samahata to Mizumi, who was next to him, so that he could also increase the amount of chakra. In this way, the power of Bai's Ice Escape ninjutsu will be doubled. Roar! With the last unwilling roar of One-Tail Shuhei, he was completely swallowed up. At this time, Gaara woke up and turned around, watching Naruto frown, thinking about reminiscing. There is only a tiny bit of One-Tail Shuhei chakra remaining in Gaara's body, so that his emotions will no longer be affected by One-Tail Shuhei and become irritable and out of control. I believe his strength will be further improved. Thinking of this, Naruto smiled at Gaara and said, "Join us, or die. Join us, or die." Gaara raised her head and frowned as Naruto lost his thoughts. Strictly speaking, he and Naruto are still hostile. He who is still blackened does not regard Naruto as a companion. But after experiencing the incident captured by the Akatsuki organization, he seemed to understand a little bit more about the world. Including power, including the villagers, attitudes and behaviors toward him, and including companions. "I join you." Gaara eased her brows, but still coldly said to Naruto in front of her. "But don't think about trying to control everything about me, or I will kill you." Naruto raised his brows when he heard the words, and the corners of his mouth raised, and stretched out his hand to him. "Naturally, I won't control everything about you, but if you want to kill me, you can try." Humph! Gaara snorted coldly, took Naruto's right hand, and stood up with strength. It seems that he is willing to join Naruto's organization. Naruto grinned when he saw this. Another cage-level powerhouse has arrived. Well, this operation is over. Let's go to the next target, the Kingdom of Wind. Naruto smiled and said to everyone. When talking about the Kingdom of the Wind, he looked at Gaara, saw Gaara indifferent, and continued, "Let's go to the ancient city of Lulin in the Valley of the Wind. The island where Naruto and the others are currently located is on the sea south of the Kingdom of Wind. Except for the Kingdom of Wind, there are no other countries or large islands nearby. The small islands appear rather desolate on the sea, but they are also more secretive." This is what Naruto found after letting Shadow Clone fly around the world. Now, Naruto harnessed the power of the wind and took the other 5 people high in the sky, heading straight to the ancient city of Lulin in the desert of the Kingdom of Wind. At the same time, the entire Akatsuki organization was searching for the whereabouts of the masked ninja Naruto and definitely sent thousands of white Zetsu clones to roam the entire world. Even Akatsuki's plan to capture the tail beast was temporarily shelved. The Kakashi team and the Might Guy team failed to rescue Gaara and are returning to Konoha village. Chio couldn't take another look at his grandson before he died, so he could only gather the corpse of his grandson and return to Sunagakur to continue living in seclusion. Although Sunagakur's strength has declined to its lowest point, these have nothing to do with the generations. In the remaining days, it will gradually die in its own memories. And Sunagakur's life was not easy. It was almost destroyed by Akatsuki, and the news that one-tail Jinchuriki also disappeared immediately spread throughout the world. Many shinobu villages and forces are eyeing Sunagakur in the Country of Wind. Although the Country of Wind is very barren, it is one of the 5 largest countries, with a vast territory and a much larger population than those small countries. The other 4 big countries annexed it, which can make its national power stronger, and other small countries can also beat the autumn wind on it and eat a large piece of meat. To do all of this, you must first kill the armed organization of the Wind Nation Sunagakur. Sunagakur is also very aware of their current situation. They have done 2 things. One is to keep writing to Konoha shinobi, begging Konoha's father to protect, and the other is to preach to the entire ninja world, "Whoever touches me first, I will use this last family property to fight you hard." In this way, all the forces have been bluffed, and they all began to wait and see, waiting for the first bird to come out. But even so, it is difficult to avoid the escape of some ninjas in the village. These ninjas were worried that they would be buried with Sunagakur, so they patted their buttocks and stayed away from this Uzumaki. Among them is a guy called Beizu. During a mission before, this guy stumbled upon the ancient city of Lulin in the depths of the desert and the existence of Dragon Vessel. After that, the desire in his heart uncontrollably expanded, sneaking into Lulin many times, constantly preparing for his own ambitions. This time, he took the opportunity to leave Sunagakur, ready to go to Lulin to develop his own power, and achieve his ridiculous dream of overthrowing the 4 great ninja villages. Unfortunately, his dream is about to fail. Dragon Vessel, there are bottomless pits around the platform where the seal is located. Just as Beizu squatted on the platform and wondered how to open the seal of Dragon Vessel and use it, 6 figures fell from the sky. The leader Naruto kicked the 100 feet directly off the platform, let him fall into the bottomless pit, and then stepped forward to look at Dragon Vessel. Dragon Vessel's sealing technique is inserted with a special kunai of 4th Hokage's Flying Thunder God, which seals the dragon vein firmly. Seeing this, Naruto beckoned to Shangrong, and the 2 of them wondered together how to better unlock the seal. It's a pity that even if they have a superb level of seal skill, they still can't ensure safe unlocking, allowing Samahata to slowly devour chakra in the dragon vein. It seems as I expected, this dragon vein can only be freely controlled by the Queen of Lulin. Naruto murmured, and then ordered a few words to Shanglin. Shangrong, Kurama Yakumo, Gaara, Neji, and Mizuki Shiro stood in the distance and looked at Naruto quietly. Boom! When Naruto pulled out 4th Hokage's Flying Thunder God without much effort, a majestic force suddenly surged out, forming a pillar of chakra energy rising into the sky, directly swallowing Naruto out of sight. Shangrin subconsciously wanted to step forward to rescue Naruto, but immediately thought of Naruto's instructions and gave up. But the next moment she couldn't help but exclaimed, pointing at the bottom of the Dragon Vein seal platform and shouting, "You are still alive." After her reminder, everyone followed their fingers and saw that the 100 feet who had just been kicked were about to climb onto the platform. It's a centipede, dead but not stiff. I don't know what method the other party used to climb up from the bottom of the bottomless pit. Stop it for me, fool. Shangrong saw that the 100 feet in the distance had to plunge into the dragon vein energy pillar, and worried that the opponent might affect Naruto, so she wanted to use water style to attack the 100 feet. Seeing this, Yakumo also took out the canvas and oil paint and began to paint. Bai also urged an ice dragon to rush away. Only Gaara, with a face of indifference, didn't mean to shoot. But 100-foot speed was too fast. When water style and the ice dragon were about to approach him, he swished into the energy column. Then the energy column began to shrink rapidly and disappeared. When Naruto opened his eyes again, he found himself lying on a garden grass surrounded by tall buildings. He knew immediately that he had successfully crossed to the former Lulan town. But then his brows frowned, because in his perception, there were only 2 living human breaths in this Lulan town. There are also 4 ninjas lurking outside the town. As the time I traveled different from the original. In the original work, when Naruto crossed to Lulan, the pseudonym and Lucian of the 100 feet had crossed here for 6 years, and developed a large number of puppets by using dragon vessel. At that time, all the men in Lulan were forced to make puppets in underground factories, and only a few women and children were hiding in the city. But now, it is estimated that these civilians are dead. Then the current timeline will definitely not be the same as the original. As for the specific situation, further investigation is needed. He raised his head and looked in the air. Although he could not see it, he could clearly perceive the dense chakra lines in the air, knowing that this was the chakra net that Beizu had set up to control countless puppets. Based on the perceived position of the living person, Naruto first came to the top of a tall tower. This living person felt a little special to himself, with aliveness, but was different from normal people. As for his identity, Naruto has certain guesses. When Naruto saw the other person in the distance, he whispered in his heart, "Sure enough." He saw a slender girl about 18 years old sitting in front of the windowsill, 2 long legs in black stockings dangling back and forth outside the window, still humming an inaudible tune. It should be Queen Sarah. No, she was the former queen to be precise. I don't know why she hasn't been killed by Beizu this time. But no matter what, Naruto's goal is to take her away and let her help herself control the dragon veins so that she can absorb the dragon veins chakra with Samahata. Follow me. Naruto came behind Sarah, looked at the other side's graceful figure and back, and said softly. Sarah's body suddenly paused, making a slight click, but immediately continued to hum nonchalantly. Naruto frowned, stepped forward and grabbed the opponent's arm, and when he was about to forcibly take her away, his body also stopped. "You," Naruto said in surprise. The girl's arm he was holding was obviously not a human body, it should be a puppet's body. Naruto gently turned the girl's body around, and her brows became tighter involuntarily. The girl's smooth and white face is just a special material that is polished and smooth, and the 2 long legs wrapped in black stockings are probably not sensual. Oh, Naruto finally knew why Sarah was not killed by 100 feet, because she was also transformed into a puppet, one of the countless puppets of 100 feet. However, 100 Foot's puppet technique seems to be awesome. Although most of Sarah's body is already a puppet, she has not died yet, but it is almost the same as Sasori of Red Sand. But when he thinks that Beizu has the ability to transform himself into a big bug in the original book, he can be relieved. I just don't know what the opponent's strength is now, or it's not the same as the original. But these are not Naruto's primary concerns. Can you still control the dragon veins? Naruto asked, looking at Sarah's hollow eyes. Sarah raised her head. Her empty eyes looked at Naruto without speaking, but there was a strange song coming from her body, as if she was really just a puppet. Seeing this, Naruto sneered, and placed the heavenly thunder sword in the opponent's heart, where her flesh and soul was also located, similar to Sasori's reproductive core. Can you still control the dragon veins? Naruto asked again. FF equals. For a long time, Sarah slowly opened her mechanical mouth, her voice stiff and cold. Yes. Then take me, Naruto said, just about to take Sarah to leave. Suddenly, several chakra lines shot from the chakra net in midair, and they were about to connect to Sarah's body. Swish. Naruto used the Sky Thunder sword to cut all these chakra lines, and then lightning-style chakra went retrograde along the chakra lines, crackling and destroying a large piece of chakra lines. Roar. Suddenly there was a loud roar in the distance, followed by the sound of shaking mountains and crashing tall buildings to the ground. Naruto clamped Sarah's body with one hand and went outside the building to look at the source of the sound. I saw a giant puppet that was as big as the Toad Boss, coming out of the ground, with red light shining in his eyes, looking strangely at Naruto. The opponent should be Beizu's current body. Seeing that the other party did not do well human beings, and had to be monsters, Naruto couldn't help but feel a little speechless. The puppet masters are all pervert. The stronger the more pervert. We meet again, I've been waiting for you for a long time, Mask Man. A dull sound came from the giant insect, and the sound was full of violence and pride. While talking, the giant insect slowly moved to Naruto's side, and rumblingly knocked down one high-rise building after another. This dragon vein is really amazing. It can go back to a different point in time when passing through it at the same time. Naruto carefully looked at the approaching giant insects, and gradually condensed a wind-style spiral shuriken in his right hand. Although the wind-style spiral shuriken will destroy his arm first, Naruto has a fairy body, his physique is already very strong, and chakra is repairing his body at any time. Look at your bloated and slow look, let me give you a snack. After Naruto said, he would throw the wind-style spiral shuriken at the opponent. Pouch! A sharp blade pierced Naruto's heart abruptly. Naruto looked down at Sarah, who was clamped by his left arm. The other party raised his head, his hollow eyes were looking at him without emotion, and the sharp blade in his heart came from the other side's puppet's left hand. There is no chakra line on the opponent, that is to say, Sarah has taken the initiative to kill Naruto. Why? Naruto didn't show a trace of pain on his face, but calmly looked at Sarah and asked. Everyone who wants to use Dragon Vessel should die. Sarah's puppet's mouth opened and closed, making a cold voice. Oh, that's how it is. Naruto nodded and said, turning into a cloud of white smoke with a bang. It turns out this is just his shadow clone. Sage Art Wind-style Spiral Shuriken. Hundreds of Naruto suddenly landed from a high altitude, each holding a wind-style spiral shuriken, throwing at the giant insect. The giant insect raised his head, and the red light in his eyes flashed. Although he didn't speak, Naruto could feel some fear in the opponent's heart. Boom boom boom. The giant insect raised its head and opened its mouth to spit out purple chakra beams, and exploded each wind-style spiral shuriken. These purple chakras are all obtained from dragon vessels, and they are inexhaustible and inexhaustible. Giant insects are like energy cannons, capable of unlimited output. But the huge size may limit its small perception, so that it does not notice the movement of the ground under its feet. There, 10 more Naruto shadow clones drilled out of the ground, quickly forming wind-style spiral shurikens with their right hands, and without hesitation, they threw them at the giant insects above their heads. Boom! The lower body of the giant insect was directly twisted into fragments of the ground, and the upper half of the huge body fell to the ground with a puff. Naruto's attacks were wave after wave. The second wave of attacks had just ended, and the third wave of attacks came right away, destroying the entire giant worm. The giant worm puppet has the endless support of Dragon Vein chakra, so after the lower body is destroyed, it immediately starts to recover. This is also the biggest difficulty in killing it. Seeing this, Naruto knew that he wanted to kill the giant worm puppet completely. There were only two ways. The first is to seal Dragon Vessel, cut off the energy source of the giant insect puppet, so that it can no longer recover. But this method will definitely be blocked by 100-foot, and it is impossible for him to do nothing in Dragon Vessel. The prerequisite for wanting to do this is to destroy the giant worm more thoroughly so that it can recover for a longer time and cannot chase itself in time. The second method is to directly kill the real body of the 100 feet hidden in the giant insect puppet, which is estimated to be difficult. Unless the giant worm's body can be destroyed all at once, there is no way to make it want to recover. Then try it first and see what happens. Naruto made up his mind, and then hundreds of clones sprang out from the dark, in groups of 2, quickly surrounding the slow-moving giant insect, and at the same time stretched out his right hand. Sage Art Fire-style Spiral Runner. On the right hands of 50 shadow clones, a round flame of 1 meter in diameter quickly appeared. This is Naruto's powerful ninjutsu after adding fire-style nature transformation to Rasengan. Its power is comparable to wind-style spiral shuriken. Sage Art Wind-style Spiral Shuriken. A group of 2 shadow clone, the other shadow clone in the same group uses a spiral shuriken. Then, the 2 shadow clones in the same group threw the fire-style spiral wheel and wind-style spiral shuriken at the giant insect respectively. The fire-style runner and wind-style shuriken are fused together in midair, and a high-speed spinning wind-fire wheel is formed. Its power is even greater. The giant insect felt a huge threat from these two types of ninjutsu, and then quickly spit out a purple chakra beam from its mouth, shooting Shadow Clone to death. However, there were a lot of Shadow Clone, and ninjutsu was formed quickly, so in the end, 10 Hot Wheels successfully hit the giant insects. 10 huge flame whirlwinds erupted on the giant worm with incredible power, engulfing the entire giant worm. Wind-style cuts the body of the giant worm into countless pieces, and then fire-style burns it to ashes. In just a few seconds, the body of the giant insect was destroyed, leaving only a 3-meter-long puppet resembling an ant on the ground. This should be the body of Bezu. And the body of the giant worm puppet he had just parasitized was all burned to ashes, and even with the support of Dragon Vein energy, it would definitely not be able to recover. Bezu saw the destruction of his most proud giant insect puppet, looked at the 20 Naruto shadow clones around him, and roared hoarsely. "You are dead, I will kill you and become a puppet." With that, the 8 ant legs of the 100 feet flicked at the same time, and countless puppets were drilled from the ground and in all directions, enclosing all the 20 shadow clone and Sarah. These should be the family property that Bezu has gradually accumulated over the years, and it is also the hope of others for hanging the 5 great forbearance villages. "Are you going to make me a human puppet?" Naruto chuckled lightly. A guy named Sasori of Akasha also said the same a few days ago, and then he died. Humph, stupid humans. Bezu obviously didn't have the patience to wait for Naruto to continue. He didn't seem to regard himself as a human being. With a low growl, he ordered countless puppet army to rush towards Naruto aggressively. Naruto looked at the dense puppets around him, knowing in his heart that they must have the same quick repair ability as the giant insect puppets. If you can't use the powerful Rasengan to smash them completely as before, I am afraid that all attacks will be in vain. But these puppets are simply too many, he can't kill them all. Then we can only solve the puppet master Bezu. But Bezu is not a fool. Although he clamored to kill Naruto, he immediately hid himself among the countless puppet army. He thought that Naruto could not find himself, but unfortunately, Naruto possessed natural perception ability and locked him down a long time ago. Sneaking through Earth style, Naruto quickly came to the place of 100 feet, and quickly jumped out from the ground, holding the Heavenly Thunder Sword and turning the 100 feet ant puppets into 2. Immediately afterwards, when the person was in the air, he condensed a wind-style spiral shuriken and slammed it against the upper body of the 100-legged ant puppet. Boom! The puppet was immediately shredded into pieces, and the key flesh and blood similar to regeneration nuclear was also destroyed. Bezu let out an unwilling roar, and then there was no sound. The countless army of puppets also stopped moving. "I knew you were so horrible, why did I waste so many things?" With that, Naruto kicked the puppet fragments on the ground and picked up a black scroll from his lower body. Naruto opened the scroll, glanced around at random, and threw it to the ground without interest. The records in it are all 100-foot puppet techniques, and Naruto doesn't use these, nor does he look down upon it. But unexpectedly, Sarah next to him actually went forward and picked up the scroll, then lowered her head, and started to stunned again. "I never let strangers get close to my being, so if you want to assassinate me again, don't bother with that." Naruto looked at Sarah coldly and said, "Don't think I'm very kind, but you still have use value." Sarah still lowered her head and said nothing. Naruto was not surprised when he saw this, he had already decided, and after he swallowed Dragon Vessel he would kill Sarah directly. "Take me to the Dragon Vein Seal," Naruto directly ordered unceremoniously. "Thanks." Unexpectedly, Sarah softly thanked her first, and then led the way. Naruto was expressionless and followed Sarah without responding. When passing by a pool of water, Sarah stopped suddenly, dipped the puppet finger with the water, and wiped it on the corner of her eye. "What are you doing?" Naruto couldn't help but frown and asked. "I want to cry, but I can't cry anymore." Sarah lowered her head, her voice cold. Naruto was touched by her words, and her heart softened, but immediately returned to normal. Soon, the two arrived at the seal of Longmei, Sarah whispered in her mouth, and then put her hands on the seal. Suddenly, a beam of majestic purple chakra beams gushing out. "We need to return to the future first. I don't want to stay here." Naruto grabbed Sarah's body as he spoke. This is what he planned originally, because he will develop very well in the future, and there is no need to stay in this era. Otherwise, it will only cause chaos in time and space and unpredictable situations. Unpredictable, it means that Naruto will lose the greatest advantage of knowing the plot. Therefore, Naruto must return to the future and take Sarah away so that she can help herself devour Dragon Vessel chakra in the future. Just as Naruto was pulling Sarah and preparing to jump into the chakra beam, suddenly a voice rang from behind. "Stop, I thought you wouldn't show up. Namikaze Minato." Naruto turned his head to look at the four masked ninjas who came over. The headed person had short blonde hair and exuded a strong and powerful aura. It is Namikaze Minato, no doubt. He took the father of the future Akamichi Choji and Aburame Shino, as well as the young boy Kakashi, to investigate after learning about Lulin's anomalous information. In the previous battle between Naruto and 100 Feet, they saw a strange puppet master on one side, and a strong ninja wearing a mask and cloak with black clouds on the other side. If they didn't understand the situation, they watched the battle from a distance. Until now, they saw that Dragon Vessel was opened again, and Naruto might have made further movements before revealing his figure. "Do you know me? Who are you?" Namikaze Minato held kunai and looked at Naruto curiously. He felt a sense of intimacy from Naruto, which surprised him. He was born as a war orphan, and the only people closest to him are Kushina and Jiraiya. Could it be that Mr. Jiraiya transformed the other party? How can it be? However, the opponent clearly used a ninjutsu similar to and more powerful than Rasengan during the battle just now. Is there a third person in the entire ninja world who will know Rasengan? At this moment, Namikaze Minato had many thoughts, and he could never think of Naruto's true identity. "Who am I? Guess. Heir to the will of fire." Naruto's tone was full of irony. Namikaze Minato is a good ninja, and in the future will be a good husband, a good Hokage, but not a good father. Coincidentally, he can't give what Naruto needs. Namikaze Minato frowned. He realized from Naruto's tone that Naruto seemed to have a deep hostility towards him. Naruto must be his enemy. Konoha's enemy. This is the age of war, and his Namikaze Minato has many enemies, such as Iwagakure, who was frightened by his killing. Maybe Naruto is one of his enemies. Since you are the enemy, then I'm not welcome. Namikaze Minato finished speaking, and took out a large amount of traits and quickly threw it at Naruto. Naruto dare not let these special kunai approach him at will. Although he is not as proficient in Flying Thunder God technique as Namikaze Minato, he is very familiar with this ninjutsu. Seeing him slap his hands, a wind wall blocked him, blocking all the special kunai thrown over and bounced back. Seeing this, Namikaze Minato frowned slightly, and made a secret gesture to the Akamaiki Dingza trio behind him, and then quickly formed a seal with both hands and patted the ground. Suddenly, a wall of soil rose up against the wind wall. It immediately blocked Naruto's vision. "It's now." Namikaze Minato drank in a low voice, his figure disappeared instantly, and in the next second, he appeared in front of Naruto, holding special kunai in his right hand, and slammed into Naruto's throat. At the same time, his left hand was about to pat Naruto's stomach quietly, and the Flying Thunder God mark was hidden. Naruto's natural perception can perceive Minato's small movements, and he himself has a better understanding of Minato's usual tactics. Therefore, he even played frog team. Boom! Naruto did not move as if he hadn't reacted on the surface, but in the dark he borrowed natural energy and hit Minato's chest with a blow, directly knocking him out. What's the matter? Is his speed so fast that I didn't find it? Namikaze Minato endured the sharp pain in his chest. Shock and doubt flashed in the eyes of the person looking at Naruto in midair. And just as Naruto hit Namikaze Minato, swarms of black worms swarmed towards him from the ground. This was an attack by Aburame Jiwei. Naruto quickly jumped up to avoid him, and suddenly slammed a huge fist from the top of his head, which was part of Akamaiki Dingza's doubling technique. Call. A gust of wind passed by, and Naruto's figure disappeared. The next moment he appeared in the air. With a slap of his hands, a gust of wind blew towards the insect swarm. The insect swarm was swept by the strong wind, and there was no resistance. The small wind blade cut the dead insects in half, and soon a pile of insect corpses covered the ground. Aburame Jiwei wears sunglasses, His face is expressionless, his hands stretched forward, and two groups of worms surround his head, ready to attack Naruto at any time. Akamaiki did not hit with a punch, so he stretched out his fist and grabbed Naruto in the air. Seeing this, Naruto was a little impatient. He didn't want to kill the four guys from Konoha, lest he would change the plot, causing chaos in time and space, and losing his advantage of knowing the plot. But now, these guys seemed to be determined to defeat him by number and cooperation. Chi 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 chi. At this moment, a group of birds' calls suddenly sounded not far away, and in the next second, a dark shadow rushed to his back. Naruto knows who is here without even looking. He turned around at an extremely fast speed, clasping the opponent's right wrist with his left hand, so that the Chidori in the opponent's right palm could not attack him, and at the same time, kicked his right foot toward the opponent's handsome face. Boom! Kakashi was kicked directly onto the palm of Akamaiki Dings's giant hand. The huge power not only made him faint, but also took the giant hand flying, and Akamaiki Dings's body also fell to the ground. I wanted to beat you a long time ago, Naruto said, looking at Kakashi disdainfully. Then he flew to Sarah, took her one step to the seal of dragon vessel, turned around and looked at Namikaze Minato coldly in the distance. Don't bother me again, otherwise I will really kill you. After speaking, he continued to order Sarah, open the seal. Sarah nodded, and a curse sounded in her body. Then patted the seal with both hands. Boom! The purple chakra beam appeared again, soaring into the sky, and Naruto turned and was about to step in. Wait! Suddenly, Namikaze Naruto shouted. Who are you? I have never heard of a strong man like you in the ninja world, but I have always felt a sense of intimacy from you, as if you are some of my relatives. A sense of intimacy. Naruto chuckled, and a cold expression appeared at the corner of his mouth. It's really an honor for me. You only saw me 10 minutes after I was born. As for who am I? When Naruto said this, he took off the mask, his yellow hair turned red, and his eyes turned blue. I'm like this, do you know me? Namikaze Minato. Namikaze Minato stared at Naruto carefully for a while, and asked uncertainly, are you a ninja from the Uzumaki clan? Did you know Kushina? Haha, my surname is Uzumaki, not Namikaze. As for Kushina, of course I do. Naruto said, putting on her mask again. Speaking of which, she is still my relative, much better than you. Kushina is now a Konoha shinobi. Since you are her relatives, do you want to see her? Namikaze Minato asked tentatively, while quietly squeezing the special kuna in his right hand. No, there will be a chance in the future. After speaking, Naruto slapped both hands, and a wind wall was immediately surrounded 10 meters away, covering him in the dragon vessel beam of light, blocking the next attack of Namikaze Minato. Then, he stepped forward and took Sarah into the purple chakra beam of light. The ancient city of Lulin in the 63rd year of Konoha. Naruto appeared near the seal of dragon vessel out of thin air, holding the heavenly thunder sword and looking around. He was relieved to see that Shongrong and Yakumo were all there, and then he looked at the puppet Sarah on his left arm. Sarah, don't pretend to be dead, Naruto said coldly. Sarah raised her head when she heard the words and looked around blankly. Is this the future? Yes, about 16 years later. Naruto continued. Stop talking nonsense. Next I will absorb the chakra from Dragon Vessel and help me control the output of Dragon Vessel chakra. Am I going to be killed? Sarah raised her head, looking at Naruto with hollow eyes. Naruto raised his brows when he heard the words, looked at Sarah unexpectedly, and asked playfully, you don't want to die? Do you think I must die? Sarah asked back. Or do you think that after I become the way I am now, there must be no desire to live? Naruto didn't speak, but he did think so. Unless it is a pervert who actively transforms her body like Sasori or Beizu, any beautiful girl will not accept the fact that her body becomes a puppet, right? And Lucian came to Lulin 10 years ago. 3 years ago, I was pushed down a tall building by him. I thought I would fall to death. I didn't expect to fall to a certain platform downstairs. Although I didn't die, I was seriously injured. Paralysis. Sarah's puppet's mouth opened and closed, and she was telling the incident in a cool tone, without feeling any mood swings, as if she was telling someone else's story. And Lucian is the pseudonym of Beizu. Seeing that I was not dead, and Lucian suddenly wanted to turn me into a puppet. I spent 3 years in pain and despair until you came. At first I wanted to die Tenten, but now, I want to live. Sarah said a lot in one breath. Naruto looked at her and thought for a while. Sarah's strength was not very helpful to him. And if you don't kill her, the other party may leak his own information after being caught by others, unless he joins his own organization. Thinking of this, he said to Sarah, "If you want me not to kill you, you must become my subordinates, but I don't raise waste people here, unless you can become a powerful puppet master." "Is it a puppet master like in Lucian?" Sarah asked. "No, you have to be stronger than him," Naruto replied. "Yes, I will work hard." Sarah looked at the black scroll in her hand. This was left after Beizu's death and was all his research on puppetry. Although Beizu is not absolutely powerful enough, he is still unique in puppetry. "I only give you 3 months. When Naruto said this, he immediately ordered, "Now, help me control Dragon Vessel first." "Good." Sarah nodded, and walked to Dragon Vein Chakra's beam of light, chanting a long spell. Naruto took this opportunity to ask the Shonrong people who came up around him, "How long have I been away?" "Only 10 minutes, Shang Lin replied, looking curiously at Sarah who was chanting a spell. 10 minutes, Naruto muttered, and then ordered, "You are on guard around, I guess Dragon Vessel's chakra beam will soon attract enemies." "Yeah," Shonrong, Yakumo, Neji, and Mizuki nodded in response. Gaara walked to the distance silently, holding her arms and began to alert. Naruto smiled at the corner of his mouth, and when his thoughts moved, 4 shadow clones were separated and 4 red flame arrays were placed around them as a last resort. This formation is a cube, shrouded in the sky and underground, and it is much more powerful than 4 purple flame formations, so there is no need to worry about infiltration and sneak attacks. Soon, Dragon Vessel's chakra beam began to shrink quickly, gradually turning into a small group of purple light. Naruto nodded in satisfaction and sat next to him, holding Samahata in his hand. Samahata immediately trembled all over, chewing on Dragon Vessel chakra in his mouth, with a very refreshing look. And Naruto is also very cool, because the constant flow of chakra is swallowed and transformed by Samahata, enters his body, and directly increases his own chakra amount. It's just that he is now full of celestial chakras in his body. These ordinary chakras can only be temporarily stored. He is going to go to Mount Myoboku next, absorb enough natural energy, and then transform all the ordinary chakra in his body into chakra, the fairy magic. At this moment, Naruto just thought of this and suddenly raised his head and looked far ahead. Gaara, who had been standing cool, frowned and looked in this direction. "Gaara, the other party is a guy named Z who is good at hiding in the ground or in plants, you go and deal with it." Naruto glanced at Gaara and ordered softly, "This is the land of the wind, and there are deserts in the distance. It is Gaara's home ground. Any guy who sneaks underground can't escape his perception." Sand Waterfall Funeral. Gaara pointed at the distance ahead and stretched out his right arm, opened his right hand and held it fiercely, only to see the sand in the distance quickly condense. After a few seconds, Gaara stretched out his palm, and the sand in the distance immediately spread out, gradually pouring out a corpse from the ground. The body is red, the whole body is white, but the chest is no longer ups and downs, it is obviously a white Zetsu that has been killed. "Good job, Gaara." Naruto praised Gaara loudly. Gaara continued to embrace her arms coldly, as if she had only done a trivial thing. After this incident, there will be no more extinctions in a short period of time, and Naruto calmly began to receive the Dragon Vein chakra that is constantly pouring into his body. The amount of chakra in Dragon Vessel is enough, even 10 times the amount of chakra in one tail show crane. This is what Naruto has personally experienced. Until the early morning of the 5th day, Dragon Vessel finally stopped emitting purple light, because the huge chakra contained in it had all been swallowed up by Naruto with Samahata. Naruto opened his eyes, feeling the majestic chakra surging in his body, and there was a burst of excitement in his heart. Then, as long as enough chakra is condensed, he can create Scourge. "Congratulations," Sarah said softly. "Oh, thank you. But, Sarah, your gain is not small," Naruto said, turning his head to look at Sarah beside him with a smile. In the past few days, the other party secretly sealed a small part of Dragon Vein chakra into his own reproductive nuclear flesh and blood. Queen Lulin has guarded dragon vessels and controlled dragon vessels for generations, and also inherited several special sealing techniques. Now, the amount of chakra she has is probably also very scary. I just want Master to have more powerful puppetry than illusion. Sarah heard Naruto's words and replied calmly. Naruto waved his hand and said that he didn't care about it. Dragon Vessel's chakra was too much, so that he felt like he was about to support him now, and there was nothing to share with Sarah. Anyway, there will be other tail beasts waiting for him to swallow it. The things in the ancient city of Lulin finally ended. Naruto's goal was initially achieved. Next, he will go to Mount Myoboku to absorb natural energy. I first explained to the 6 of Shonglin and the others, and after sending them back to Schwerin village with the Flying Thunder God technique, summoning developed the old Toad Deep work, and under the reluctance of the other side, Ni summoning reached Mount Myoboku. Although the star meteorite worn by Naruto can speed up his absorption of natural energy in the ninja world, the natural energy concentration in the ninja world is too low, far inferior to Mount Myoboku. He now has a huge and unparalleled ordinary chakra in his body that needs to be combined with natural energy. If you don't know how long it will take in the ninja world, it will be very fast in Mount Myoboku. Only an hour later, Naruto left Mount Myoboku with satisfaction, leaving only the old toad Fukasaku and Shima with sluggish faces behind them. He now feels that he is full of power in his body, and his whole body seems to have endless celestial skills chakra can use, and he seems to have the ability to destroy the world with his gestures. Of course, this may be an illusion after suddenly gaining such a powerful force. But his strength is indeed increased by more than 10 times. Although he hasn't made a comparison, he is definitely better than Senju Hashirama, the god of the ninja world. As for how it compares to Six Paths Madara, he doesn't know, because he has never seen Six Paths Madara in reality. But when he reached the current state, he felt that the amount of chakra in his body had reached the ultimate, and his body had already supported. If he continued to absorb chakra, he might be overwhelmed. Moreover, he felt that he might not be able to control these energies flexibly. He tried to open Mangekyo Sharingan to control it, but the effect was not obvious. Maybe my life essence is not high enough to bear such a huge force. Naruto thought in his heart, since he had the immortal body, his physical fitness has been sublimated, but after all, it is still a human body. And the tail beasts that also have huge energy, their size is also huge, enough to bear these energy. Especially the tail beasts with a lot of energy in the body, their tails also increase accordingly, which is probably related to the energy value in the body. However, these are all Naruto's speculations, and he needs further verification. So he found 9 tails. Patter. In a dark and damp place like a sewer, Naruto walked steadily, and went straight to the huge gate, looking at the 9 tails that was behind him. Seeing Naruto's arrival, 9 tails immediately stood up vigilantly, her eyes red, staring at Naruto, her hair exploded, and her 9 tails swayed uneasy. Looks like a big enemy. You have become stronger, are you here to kill me now? 9 tails asked tensely, but she couldn't hide her tension. It is very clear about what Naruto has done and experienced in the outside world. It can be said that 9 tails knows everything about Naruto except for the existence of the system and the passage of the soul. Haha, 9 tails, you have also changed and become more timid. Naruto said with a grinning look at the giant beast in front of him. 9 tails twisted her body unnaturally. Now I'm here to ask you a few things, you have to answer me truthfully. Naruto continued. You have so much chakra in your body than one tail show crane. Is it related to the tail? 9 tails was taken aback. It didn't expect Naruto to ask this question. It glanced at Naruto secretly, and then said after a while pondering. It is indeed related. There is a substantial increase in chakra in the body. Our tail beasts will either continue to grow in size or increase the tail, and use the tail to store part of the chakra. Sure enough, Naruto thought to himself, and continued to look at 9 tails and asked, you have lived for thousands of years, do you know which human has the most chakra? Human. If Sage of 6 Paths were also human, it would be him. 9 tails frowned and thought. Sage of 6 Paths. Naruto said softly, how does the chakra in his body compare to me? Hearing what Naruto said, 9 tails glanced at it like a monster. Naruto said, you are similar to Sage of 6 Paths. Oh, I actually reached the level of Sage of 6 Paths. Naruto asked with a little surprise. No, your strength is not as good as Sage of Six Paths. He not only possesses chakra, but also possesses other abilities that you can't match. Nine Tails glanced at Naruto and replied. It and other tail beasts are all beings created by Sage of Six Paths, and have personally seen the terrifying power of Sage of Six Paths. As far as making tail beasts, can Naruto do it? Naruto knew it in his heart. He knew the meaning of Nine Tails. Sage of Six Paths has Rinnegan and powerful abilities such as Yin-Yang Escape. He thought that relying on Samahata, on a whim, he had obtained so many celestial skills chakra, he could already surpass Sage of Six Paths in the energy value of his body, but he did not expect. Sage of Six Paths, worthy of being a fairy, is definitely underestimated in the original book. And thinking about it this way, how powerful is Otsutsuki Kagaya that Sage of Six Paths can't kill? Oh, I still have a long way to go. Naruto thought so, and then another question came to mind. Nine Tails, do I have as much energy in my body as you now? Nine Tails said without hesitation. In terms of quantity, you are about the same as Seven Tails, but in terms of quality, the chakra in your body is stronger than ours. Naruto knew that Nine Tails was talking about chakra. He absorbed a small portion of One Tail Shuhei chakra, and a large portion of Dragon Vein chakra, plus the original ones in the body, so that the number is about the same as Seven Tails. This shows the horror of the tail beast chakra, and can further imagine the vastness of the 10 Tails chakra. But how can I solve the current problem of chakra unable to increase? Naruto continued thinking. I am not a tail beast. I can neither increase the tail nor make my body bigger. Thinking of this, Naruto was a little bit depressed. He chose to synthesize fairy body instead of wood-style blood succession boundary in order to embark on an unusual path to get rid of the Otsutsuki bloodline. Who knows, actually encountered difficulties and bottlenecks here. Bigger, bigger, Naruto whispered. Suddenly, his inspiration flashed. There are indeed two kinds of giants in the world of ninja. One is expansion jutsu from Akamaiki's family, and the other is Susanoo. Expansion jutsu is to increase fat through food, increase the amount of chakra, and store it in fat. Chakra bursts when used, and the body will become larger. It belongs to Yongdun ninjutsu. Susanoo is a giant chakra giant after both eyes release Mangekyo's pupil power at the same time, and he will also bring his own unique weapon. Then can I use these two methods to break through the bottleneck that Shanshu chakra cannot increase? Naruto frowned and thought. System, first exchange expansion jutsu and directly upgrade to proficiency. Naruto ordered the system. He had killed several strong men before, and he had plenty of points in his hands. Ding dong. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the expansion jutsu proficiency level. Naruto closed his eyes and experienced the use of this ninjutsu, and then he sealed his hands, and his body grew rapidly until he was 30 meters high. Now, there is no longer the feeling of eat support in the body of Shanshu chakra, which makes him a little happy. Sure enough, the increase in size should be able to accommodate more Shanshu chakra. But here comes the problem. Next, he can continue to absorb chakra in this form, but if he quits expansion jutsu and returns to his normal body shape, will it be directly blown up by the large amount of chakra that has just been absorbed? He can't always maintain this giant form, right? It seems that expansion jutsu is not feasible. Then try Susanoo again. Naruto injected chakra into Mangekyo Sharingan, and the two 8-pointed stars slowly rotated. Soon, a black chakra giant gradually took shape, with skeletons, flesh and blood, Watengu armor, weapons in his hands, and wings on his back. The limbs are sound and the height is 50 meters. Naruto directly turned on Susanoo. The massive amount of Shanshu chakra allowed him to stay on for a long time, and Mangekyo Sharingan did not show any symptoms of excessive discomfort, presumably his strength would not decrease significantly. This was the first time he had resorted to Susanoo, and it was also the first time he felt the powerful power and desire to destroy the world in this ninjutsu. At this moment, he felt in his heart that he was the god between the heaven and the earth, and the desire to unify the whole world was booming. Mangekyo Sharingan is really evil, it can affect the heart, but I like it. Naruto is now completely immersed in the jewel on Susanoo's forehead, watching the clouds and birds passing by. He looked at the two weapons in his hand again. One was a big fan similar to Uchiha Madara's fan. Naruto waved at will, and there were hurricanes dancing wildly between the sky and the earth. Just call you Banana Fan, Naruto said happily. When confronting the enemy in the future, directly use this banana fan to fan the enemy, just as if the lady of the Bull Devil fan Sun Wukong. The second weapon was actually a huge Sky Thunder sword. To be precise, the original Sky Thunder sword was covered with Shanshu chakra, turning it into a huge sword. There are thunder and lightning on it, majestic and majestic. This Sky Thunder sword should still be able to control thunder and lightning, but its power is definitely not the same as usual. With Susanoo's action, Naruto sensed that the feeling of fullness no longer appeared in his body. Then what should I do next? Will there be the same problem as expansion jutsu? Naruto whispered in his heart, and suddenly a flash of light in his mind. Why don't I use Tsunade's 100 healings mark to seal the extra chakra inside? Thinking of this, Naruto immediately exchanged the supernatural level 100 healings mark directly from the system, and then smoothly stored half of the chakra in his body. Oh, I'm so stupid. Really, Naruto cursed secretly in his heart, and laughed at the corners of his mouth. But the behavior just now is not without gain. At least I understand that I will have an additional method of confronting the enemy in the future. Also, my Susanoo just now is so handsome. Continuing to increase the fairy magic chakras method is solved. Naruto can't wait to find other tail beasts. But before that, he has to go back to Konoha to see his little Hinata. After perceiving the flying thunder god mark on Hinata, Naruto disappeared in place and appeared beside Hinata with a move in his heart. But to his surprise, Hinata was not in Konoha village, but in the Temple of Fire. Ah, Naruto-kun, why did you appear here? Hinata was startled by the sudden appearance of Naruto, and stammered. Miss you, Naruto said to Hinata, looking at her grinningly. When Hinata heard Naruto's bold words, he couldn't help but blushed. Then he didn't know what he thought of, and his face was dark. Naruto looked a little surprised, grabbed her little hand, and asked, What's wrong, Hinata? What happened? Someone bullied you. Who? I'll kill him. No. Hinata withdrew her little hand sadly and whispered. You, just as Naruto wanted to continue to inquire, Yuhihong, Inuzuka and Aburame Shino suddenly came next to him. Naruto, why did you come out of Konoha village? Are you alone? Are you going to perform some mission? Yuhihong looked at Naruto and asked with some surprise. When he came here to perform the mission, Yuhihong had seen Naruto in the village, but she didn't know that it was just Naruto's shadow clone, and it just disappeared automatically because of the long duration. No, I don't have a mission, just come to see Hinata. Naruto said with a smile. At the same time I added a sentence in my mind. There is also fear that you will not be able to complete the task in the future, and will put my little Hinata in danger. Because the next enemy is Heima in the 12 Guardians of Ninja, and his 3 subordinates. They are at least Jonin level, and Yuhihong's strength is relatively good. So, he stayed cheeky, and by the way, Hinata could get close and ask the question several times. He felt that something bad must have happened during the time he left Konoha village, which affected the relationship between himself and Hinata. It's a pity that Hinata just doesn't say anything. He has nothing to do for the time being, he can only find an opportunity to ask her teammates on the sidelines. In order to perform a conspiracy, the enemy stole the bodies of the 4 powerful men from the Temple of Fire. The land of the 12 ninja warriors, who was hosted by the Fire Temple, who had just received the news, came to inform the Konoha reinforcements to immediately pursue the tomb robbers. The companions, including a young monk named Kong, had a little 9 tails chakra in his body, and therefore experienced a life similar to Naruto. After being despised, discriminated against, ostracized, and bullied, Sora also became irritable. Naruto looked at each other with a smile on his mouth. Since he came here by accident, it means that he has a predestined relationship with the small part of 9 tails chakra in the hollow body. Just solved the problem of continuing to increase chakra, and I met the target, which is a coincidence. For this 9 tails chakra, Naruto is bound to win, just experimenting with his own ideas. As for the enemies and horses that will appear next, that is, the guy with the pseudonym, Descend the Soil, Naruto is not worried at all. It's just an elite Jonin, you can kill at your fingertips. When the young monk Korra and the Konoha reinforcement Yurihong team caught up with the tomb robbers, they saw 4 coffins running fast in a valley. The corpses in the 4 coffins are the 4 lightning-style ninjas of the Guardian 12 ninjas, who were just stolen by Kazuma. Hima deliberately let Shirihong and the others see the coffin in order to lure them into the trap in the valley and kill them. Then they really got fooled. Hima's 3 subordinates not only have the strength of Jonin, but they also possess all kinds of weird abilities. Among them, Buyuan is a middle-aged woman who is good at enchantment, trapping and illusion. No Wind is a beautiful wind. Grandmaster has 4 escape techniques including earth, water, fire and thunder. It has 4 lives and 4 bodies. 1 life or 1 body represents a kind of attribute escape. She can swallow the chakra of other ninjas by kissing, and then possess the corresponding attribute escape technique. The reason why she has such a weird ability is that her essence is a hair fine. That's right, the hair is fine. The hair is her life gate and body, and it controls different escape bodies. Fudo is a strong man, good at powerful earth style, able to change the terrain at will, and the amount of chakra is also extremely amazing. Now, Buyuan has designed a soil labyrinth barrier, and then he patted the ground with his unmoving hand, urging the soil and rocks in the valley, and arranging a real soil labyrinth. The Shirihong team in the valley, looking at the various huge stone pillars rising from the ground around them in shock, separated them and besieged them inside. They wanted to escape, but it was impossible to do so. The ninja who controlled this earth maze enchantment was not destined, and used earth and rocks to stop them from fleeing at any time. Even the boulder above his head has quickly closed. Then, the female ninja could not directly find Yurihong, who was obviously the captain, and the 2 female ninjas with the same Grandmaster illusion skills immediately fought. However, Fate is not only the Grandmaster illusion, but also the Grandmaster Earth-style ninjutsu. There are many attack methods, especially in her own soil maze enchantment. And the level of Yurihong is just like that. In the original work, she didn't see her defeating a few characters with lines. The biggest performance was defeating a few weak forces of the Pommel Horse clan. Now, soon she was knocked to the ground by the woman, struggling hard. Fortunately, her student Aburame Shino is more powerful, and has never been far away to send insect swarms to support. The swarm will not be affected by the illusion, and unexpectedly, it will be seriously injured by the unsuspecting Fate, knocking her back far away. On the other side, the burly man Fudo relied on the powerful defense that Earth Style brought to his skin to resolve the impact of Inuzuka, and then he began to abuse Inuzuka. Inuzuka's strength ranks in the bottom of the top 12 Xiaoqiang. His Tooth series ninjutsu is also worth seeing in specific breakthrough obstacles, and his tracking ability is also good. But when faced with Jonin's level of motionlessness, he stopped cooking. In the end, it relied on Aburame Shino to bring Yurihong to support, and they fought back without moving. On Naruto's side, he was with Hinata from the beginning, and was not separated by the maze. Naruto-kun, what should I do now? Hinata opened Byakugan and looked around. She knew her current situation best. Such a huge maze was unheard of. With me here, what are you worried about? Naruto waved his hand, turning the attacked dirt into powder, and then grabbed Hinata and wanted to take her away. Unexpectedly, Hinata dodged quickly, lowered his head and said in a quiet voice. Naruto, I need to make myself stronger. Naruto was taken aback and touched Hinata's hair. It's okay for me to protect you. Besides, I will help you. Having said this, Naruto raised his head and waved his hand, and the boulder above his head turned into powder, revealing the night and a full moon. Naruto squinted at the full moon, lowered his head and continued to look at Hinata and said, "Trust me, I will make you extremely powerful." "But, Naruto, I can't drag you down, I want to become stronger by myself." Hinata was unexpectedly so persistent. "Hinata, what happened?" Naruto asked with an ugly face and frowned. But Hinata just lowered her head, her hands twisted together uneasy, and said nothing. "Hinata, Naruto was a little anxious. He grabbed Naruto's little hand and was about to continue to inquire. Suddenly, a figure appeared behind him with a seductive voice in his mouth. "Little brother, you are so romantic, you actually pick up girls here. Go away." Naruto's tone was impatient, and with a wave of his right hand back without looking back, a whirlwind appeared out of nowhere, and with a bang, the beautiful woman could not bear to hit the boulder. However, the female could not bear the wind and was not irritated. Instead, she stretched out her tongue and licked the blood from the corner of her mouth. She looked at Naruto with interest and said, "You actually have a rare wind attribute, and your chakra is very different. I have never kissed it. Little brother, can I let my sister have a taste of you?" Naruto didn't take care of the coquettish lack of wind, and continued to frown at Hinata and asked, "Hinata, don't you want to be with me anymore?" "Why?" Hinata took a deep breath, turned and ran away. Naruto's heart suddenly became anxious and impatient. He feels that everything about himself and Hinata are logically together. Just like the original book, he also likes Hinata, a lovely girl who cares about herself. Who knew that today's moth would appear? Someone must have said something to Hinata, such as not allowing Hinata to associate with himself anymore. "Don't let me know who made it, or it will definitely look good to you." The killing intent flashed in Naruto's eyes, and his heart was ruthless. "Little brother, can I let my sister kiss him?" At this time, the coquettish sluggishness came behind her. Naruto did not fight back, letting her fragrant tongue lick her ears seductively. "Okay." Naruto turned around and looked at each other with a smile. "Do you want to kiss me? Then let you kiss enough." Before the other party could react, Naruto firmly put his arms around the other party's neck and kissed him fiercely. There was joy and pride on Bufeng's face, and he thought, "What is so good about the little girl? How can my old mother smell?" She unceremoniously activated the secret technique and sucked Naruto's chakra from Naruto's mouth. When Shanshu chakra entered the dead body, her whole body was excited to the apex, and her body trembled involuntarily. And she doesn't know how many people she has kissed. The technology is really nothing to say. Naruto finally opened the meat in the Hokage world. But how is chakra so easy to swallow? The natural energy contained in it will turn people who have not practiced directly into stone. In the original book, the hungry Kido from Pen 6 Paths who wants to absorb Naruto chakra is like this. Now, the wind can't bear the wind and is also sad. She immediately noticed something was wrong. Starting from her feet, the flesh and blood gradually began to turn into stone. The excitement on Feng Feng's face was replaced by panic, and the whole body trembled more severely. This time, it was trembling because of fear. She wanted to move her lips and body, but was hugged by Naruto tightly. "Don't move, let's stay longer. If you want to kiss, then let you kiss enough." The coquettish lackluster soon turned into a stone statue. Naruto sneered and licked his lips, then looked at the direction Hinata was escaping, and became irritable again. "It doesn't matter, I'm going to Hinata to ask to understand, even if I use illusion." After Naruto thought it over, he ran towards Hinata's place. This so-called labyrinth of soil cannot stop him in the slightest. As long as there is soil and rock in front of him, he can turn it into powder with a wave of his hand, and then pass through without hindrance. Soon, Hinata was found again. At this time, Hinata has reunited with Yurihong, Inuzuka Toa, Aburame Shino, and the young monk Sora, and is fighting against Wuma. Hima's strength is stronger than Sarutobi Asuma, and he hasn't fallen behind in the face of the Yurihong 4. When Naruto arrived, he happened to see Kazuma preparing to kill Hinata with his cane. Naruto immediately drew up in front of Hinata, and the Sky Thunder sword in his hand pierced Hima's abdomen in the blink of an eye. The lightning on it directly paralyzed the opponent's body. Hima looked at the strong and tall young man in disbelief, feeling the numbness of his whole body, and was shocked in his heart. Immediately afterwards, he was kicked by Naruto and hit a huge boulder heavily. His two subordinates, immovable and unfavorable, hurried to his side, turned around and took them away. Seeing this, Shiraihong chased him immediately. After Naruto kicked in the horse, he ignored him. Instead, he stopped Hinata, who was about to follow Yurihong, and looked at her seriously and asked, "Hinata, can't you really tell me why?" Hinata still lowered his head and said nothing. Seeing this, Yurihong looked back at Naruto and Hinata before continuing to pursue them. "Then don't blame me, Hinata." After Naruto finished speaking, her eyes suddenly changed to 3 Tomo Sharingan, and he lifted Hinata's chin abruptly to let her see her eyes. Hinata's eyes instantly became blankly blank. "Hinata, what's going on?" Naruto asked softly. "My father said that the village is going to restrict your movement and list you as a key surveillance object. My father is worried that I will cause trouble to the Hyuga clan when I am with you, so he won't allow me to associate with you anymore. Otherwise, he will propose to the village to impose house arrest and a certain amount of punishment on you." Hinata's eyes were blank, and tears couldn't stop streaming down as she talked. Even though she was suffering from illusions, the grief on her face was still clearly visible. "Old tortoise, Hyuga Hiyashi, you're so courageous." After Naruto knew the cause of the incident, his heart was full of hatred for Hyuga Hiyashi. As soon as the incident happened, he knew that the old tortoise with its head shrunk really deserved to die. At the same time, Naruto started to feel sorry for Hinata. On the one hand, it was his father's order, and on the other hand, he was worried that Naruto would really be punished after continuing the relationship. It is estimated that Hinata had to bear this alone during this time, and she must have been sad for a long time. "Thank you, Hinata." Naruto put Hinata in his arms, and at the same time, automatically unlocked Hinata's illusion. "I will go to your father to solve this." Hinata woke up from the illusion, heard what Naruto said, and then thought about her own state just now, knowing that she had just been hit by the Naruto illusion, and said everything. She knew Naruto's temper very well, and worried that Naruto would be unfavorable to her father, so she pleaded. "Naruto, don't kill my father. He is only for the Hyuga clan." After hearing the words, Naruto thought for a while, and then agreed to Hinata. "I can't kill him, but I always have to trouble him, including Konoha village." Although Naruto feels that Konoha village intends to monitor him, there should be a reason to worry that Nine Tails will be captured by Akatsuki, but he has no feelings for Konoha, and it is even more impossible to be monitored by him now. Then defect. Thinking of this, Naruto suddenly said. Defection has always been his original plan. He didn't want to stay in Konoha village and accept endless and boring tasks. Shadow Clone cannot stay in Konoha for him for a long time and complete the task. Moreover, he will go to catch the tail beast and improve his strength. Konoha can't provide him with anything, but instead becomes his imprisonment. Hinata was taken aback by the defection in Naruto's mouth, and asked uneasily, Naruto-kun, are you going to defect to Konoha village? Hinata, do you still like me? Naruto put his arms around Hinata, did not answer directly, first asked seriously. Hinata felt the heat from Naruto's body, and nodded blushingly. Then leave Konoha with me, we will be together forever, no one can stop us. Naruto continued suddenly. Hinata's body was shocked suddenly, and his eyes were full of surprises and surprises. Defied, with Naruto-kun forever, Hinata murmured. After a long time, she finally made up her mind and nodded slowly. She is a simple-minded girl, she has no feelings for the people of the world, and she has not been brainwashed by the will of fire. She just wants to protect the people she cares about. This is very similar to little Sakura. However, the difference between Hinata and little Sakura is that she has a weak personality and doesn't know how to be a fool. Moreover, the people she likes also like her very much. Thank you, Hinata, Naruto said, turning to look at the direction where Heima was running away. We have one more thing to do before we leave. After speaking, Naruto and Hinata soared into the air, and came to Kazuma, who was being chased by Yurihong, who looked like a dog who lost his family. Immovable and unfavored, seeing that it was Naruto, immediately attacked him. Naruto held Hinata with his left hand, and with a wave of his right hand, he flew the two of them away, and then went straight to Kazuma who was lying on the ground and panting. Heima panted feebly, his face pale, the piercing of his abdomen caused a lot of blood to flow out of him, and his vitality gradually faded away. His eyes were full of unwillingness. He thought that he would be able to successfully destroy Konoha this time without being incognito for so many years. Unexpectedly, he fell under the hands of the young ninja in front of him. He is not reconciled, but at this moment, his whole body has no strength at all, and his eyes are beginning to darken. Heima knew he was going to die soon. At this time, Naruto's hand exuded a milky white light, and gently placed it on the wound in Heima's abdomen. Suddenly, the wound and internal organ damage were repaired and healed immediately. 20 seconds later, Heima was completely healed. He looked at Naruto who was seriously wounded and healed in front of him in shock, and he couldn't bear to ask. Why are you saving me? Naruto stood up, looked at him and said faintly, because I need you to do what you should do now. Naruto knew that Kazuma's goal was to destroy Konoha. Hima couldn't help but stunned when he heard what Naruto said. He glanced at Naruto deeply, then stood up and hurried away with his two subordinates. Naruto, what are you doing? Yurihong, who was not far away, yelled and asked. Seeing that they were about to catch the tomb thief, they didn't expect to be let go by Naruto in front of their own eyes. Naruto ignored her, pulled Hinata and disappeared. Snow Ninja Village. Naruto summoned Shangrong, Kurama Yakumo, Gaara, Mizuki Shiro, Neji, Sarah and others. Together with Naruto himself and Hinata, there are now a total of 8 members in the organization. Next, our task is to catch the tail beast to increase chakra for me, and I will also give you a part of chakra. Naruto looked at the others in the organization and said. Since the last time Mizuno Yubai absorbed part of one tail Shuhei's chakra, his strength has directly reached the cage level powerhouse level. It is like Kisame has achieved cage level after having chakra of the tailless beast level. Mizuki Shiro's natural talents are good. When he fought in the Nami country, he showed the ability to make seals with one hand, which surprised Kakashi. Later, Bai was used by Naruto Bloodline Upgrade Scroll to upgrade Bing Dunzujiji boundary to a god-level bloodline. That's why Mizumi is now a proper cage-level powerhouse like Kisame. As for Kurama Yakumo, who was originally several times stronger after Blacken, after getting Sage Body and adapting for this period of time, he completely made up for his weakness. Her strength has also reached cage level. As for Gaara, in the original book, he is still a cage-level powerhouse after losing one tail Shuhei. He is still in the blackened state, and his strength is fully cage level. Shang Rin's strength is relatively weak, only at the level of Jonin, but her sealing ability is superb, and can have unexpected effects on certain occasions. Naruto is also preparing to further strengthen her. The second is Neji, his strength is the same as the original, just ordinary Jonin, and the contract 3 years ago, he will soon no longer be bound by Naruto. In the past, Naruto was rare for him, but since his strength has become stronger, he has looked down upon Neji, so he can leave if he likes to go. Byakugan, he has Hinata. The last is Sarah, who just joined. She needs to grow slowly, but the potential is huge, because her body contains a half of the dragon vein energy. No matter what ninjutsu is used, it will be powerful. From this point of view, Naruto actually had 3 cage levels and several Jonin under Naruto, which was considered a very powerful force. Our main enemy is the Akatsuki organization you encountered before. There are several cage level powerhouses with strong Yamato and weird, detailed information. I will write on paper next. Naruto looked at them seriously and said. When he mentioned Akatsuki's name, Gaara's face suddenly became savage, and he remembered the painful memories that hadn't been long. At present, the Akatsuki organization is searching and capturing Jinchuriki throughout the ninja world. We need to find these Jinchuriki before them, or snatch them from them. Naruto continued. Finally, after reading the information I gave you, immediately go to the ninja world to find Jinchuriki and the tail beast. At this moment, Yakumo suddenly said, can our organization change its name? What's the name? Naruto asked curiously. He didn't care about the organization's name. Jingshi, is it all right? Yakumo asked. Jingshi, Naruto said softly, then turned to look at the other members. What do you think? This is what we have discussed. Shang Rin replied with a grin, and said that he was going to get close to Naruto, but was stopped by Naruto with wind style. Well, let's call our organization Jingshi. Naruto nodded indifferently. After an hour, Thunder Country is near Cloud Shinobi Village. Naruto's shadow clone used Flying Thunder God technique to bring Shang Rin and Gaara here, and they want to sneak into Cloud Shinobi Village to find Niu and Eight Tails Jinchuriki. Naruto-kun, will you stay with me like this? Shang Rin showed an idiot on his face, and hugged Naruto's shadow clone's left arm tightly. Hey, I'm just a shadow clone, do you want this? Naruto's shadow clone looked at Shang Rin helplessly. But after the shadow clone dissipates, I will pass on my intimate actions towards you to the main body. Shang Rin smiled and looked up at the shadow clone coquettishly. I will let you know that I am 1,000 times better than that cute and weak Miss Hinata. Well, I really convinced you, but can you stop using so hard? I will be squeezed by you, and the body may not come over by then. Shadow clone tried to pull his arm out of Shang Rin's arms, but found that the opponent was surprisingly big. It has already surpassed Hinata. Of course, what he was talking about was that the power of Xianglin was surprisingly great. Then you have to promise me that when I go to the country of ghosts to help me become stronger, only the two of us can go. Hinata is not allowed to be called. Xiangrong's eyes rolled, and she continued to act coquettishly. Well, I promise you. I promise. Shadow Clone agreed in one fell swoop, and added in his heart, I promise to go, not the main body. Gaara next to her, holding her arms, glanced at this side, and snorted coldly. Such a similar scene also happened in Kurama Yakumo's group. She and Sarah have a team with Sage Body, excellent perception ability and adamantine sealing chains escort. Although Sarah is still very weak, Sarah is learning hard and growing quickly. Yakumo also tempted Naruto very early, and even more so now. However, her method is more tactful than Xiangrin's. For example, she would use illusion to draw a wild boar secretly, and then pretend to be scared and plunge into Shadow Clone's arms. Then he was pushed away by Naruto with a look of disgust. Shui Wuyubai and Neji's team are the most normal. Both of them are Kyonchin Kunzi, and both are taciturn. Their location is in the water country, and their goal is 3 tails. All 3 teams will be sent to different locations in the ninja world by a Shadow Clone through Flying Thunder God technique. The Shadow Clone will stay to accompany and perceive the target. When they find Jinchuriki or 3 tails, Shadow Clone will notify the body to come here to ensure that they can catch the tail beast without fail. As for Naruto's body, he still stays in Schwerin village to do his own thing. Next, he will use Samahata to swallow the 9 tails in his body. To be precise, it is Yang 9 tails. Are you finally going to shoot me? Inside Naruto, 9 tails' voice sounded. Although the tone was as low as ever, some fear and despair could be felt. This is the first time 9 tails proactively contacted Naruto, and it was before his death. Yes, and your other half of Yin 9 tails. But don't worry, I will leave you a third of chakra. Naruto chuckled. Oh, are you trying to save my life? 9 tails' voice was surprised, revealing some hope and a trace of prayer. If outsiders saw this scene, it would be hard to believe that 9 tails, the terrifying behemoth that survived the ancients, would actually have the time to pray for survival. But this can't be blamed on 9 tails. In the face of a strong man like Naruto, any tail beast that has been swallowed up by the artifact Samahata is really dead and will not resurrect. But will Naruto really let 9 tails go? Before sealing the huge gate of 9 tails. When Naruto was suspended in midair and was about to tear the 8-sign seal without hesitation, a figure that appeared suddenly grabbed his wrist. Naruto sneered at the corner of his mouth, and shook off the opponent's body with his right hand, lifted his right foot and kicked the opponent. Naruto, 4th Hokage yelled after falling to the ground so as not to be attacked by Naruto again. What do you want me to do? 4th Hokage, Naruto sneered at the corner of his mouth. Namikaze Minato, after hearing the words, stood up and looked at Naruto with a smile on his face. We meet again, Naruto. His smile is very gentle and contagious. Oh, Naruto immediately realized what he meant. Do you remember the things in the ancient city of Lulin? It seems that the influence of time and space does exist. Namikaze Minato smiled and nodded. Yes, I was very impressed with you at the time. I didn't react until I saw you go to Lulin some time ago. When Naruto heard the words, suddenly laughed nervously. Ha ha ha, this is really an interesting thing. Unexpectedly, you left chakra in the seal in my body, you can actually see the outside world. Namikaze Minato also laughed, but suddenly, the next second, Naruto's face suddenly calmed down. Then what do you think of my experience over the past 10 years? Namikaze Minato's face suddenly became calm when he heard the words, and then he showed a trace of guilt. Oh, I finally came to this topic. I'm sorry, Naruto, Minato said in a low voice. I didn't expect that my decision back then would make you go through so much suffering. Yeah, you are a good Hokage, there is nothing wrong with this. Naruto continued calmly. But I'm not a good father, am I? A sorrowful smile appeared on the corner of Minato's mouth. It seems that you already know our relationship. 3rd Hokage did not announce the relationship between the two of us. I am afraid it is worried about your safety and worried that there will be a lot of danger on you, so. Namikaze Minato tried his best to explain. Ha ha ha. When Naruto heard Namikaze Minato say this, he immediately laughed, tears streaming out of his smile. Do you think I'm an idiot? Fourth Hokage. Ha ha ha. Namikaze Minato listened to Naruto's sarcasm, and didn't think it at all. He felt sorry for Naruto too much, so he was not angry at Naruto's attitude but apologized again. Sorry, Naruto. Ha ha ha. A sentence of sorry can erase the pain I suffered when I was a child. A sentence of sorry can make me forgive you, and even forgive the old third-generation coin. Naruto shouted to Namikaze Minato hoarse. Namikaze Minato was silent. After a long time, he continued to speak to Naruto, but you can't defect to Konoha village, there is a mysterious and powerful Akatsuki organization pursuing you outside. Hehe, don't you know my strength? Naruto sneered at Namikaze Minato. I am not going to destroy the Xiao Xiao organization now, not because I can't do it, but because I still need Pain. Namikaze Minato looked at Naruto who was a little mad and asked, who is Pain? Hehe, Pain is the leader of Akatsuki's face. Naruto explained. Is he the masked ninja who attacked me back then? Namikaze Minato asked, narrowing his eyes. Haha, I know who the masked man is, but I won't tell you now. When you see him with your own eyes, be prepared to be surprised. Naruto laughed and looked at Minato with interest. Minato sighed helplessly and asked again, Naruto, why do you know so many secret things? Haha, that's the same thing, I won't tell you. Naruto laughed again, then his face gradually calmed down. It seems that he has laughed enough. He suddenly turned his head to look at the space next to him, and asked softly, is it enough? Mother. After speaking, Namikaze Minato looked surprised and hurriedly looked over. Seeing Naruto grabbing the space next to him, a figure appeared. Red-haired, beautiful, and 3 points similar to Naruto, it is Kushina. It's just that Kushina's face is full of sadness at this time. Kushina. Minato saw that his beloved wife wanted to step forward and hold her hand. Unexpectedly, Kushina walked a few steps quickly and hugged Naruto. There were tears in the corners of her eyes, and she said in a choked voice, I'm sorry, Naruto. I'm sorry, Naruto. Naruto didn't expect Kushina to do this. At first he was a little embarrassed, but slowly his face softened. It's okay, after all, it has nothing to do with you, I don't blame you. Kushina held Naruto and cried bitterly for a while, then let go, and looked at Naruto in front of him carefully, then burst into tears and laughed. Luckily you just look like me, without red hair. Is red hair bad? I like red hair. Naruto turned his yellow hair red. Although he no longer has the sage body of the Uzumaki clan, but this kind of change technique of changing hair color, he can stick to it at his fingertips. Puff. Kushina laughed and touched Naruto's red hair curiously. Don't say, if your hair turns red, it will look really good. If you like it, I can keep it forever. After all, my last name is Uzumaki. Naruto said to Kushina with a grin. But when Naruto said so, Namikaze Minato sighed. The smile on Kushina's face gradually disappeared. He stroked Naruto's face and apologized again. I'm sorry, Naruto. I said, it has nothing to do with you. Naruto shook his head. Kushina took a deep breath, turned to look at her beloved husband, and said in a low voice. Minato, I'm disappointed with Lord Third Hokage. Oh, Namikaze Minato sighed, lowered his head and said nothing. He was thinking that from Hokage's point of view, there was nothing wrong with Third Hokage doing this. Are you thinking in your heart that from Hokage's point of view, there is nothing wrong with Third Hokage doing this? Kushina looked at Minato with her head down, and suddenly asked. Minato raised his head suddenly, looked at Kushina in surprise, and then a wry smile appeared on his face. When I was Jinchuriki, didn't I just conceal my Jinchuriki identity? Why did my son become Jinchuriki and even his identity as the son of a hero had to be concealed? My son of Kushina was so shameless. Kushina asked repeatedly. Or, because his parents are dead, not covered by Mito-sama like I was back then. Namikaze Minato showed anxious expression on his face, and quickly explained. Kushina, Master Third Hokage did this to prevent Naruto from being retaliated by others. As you know, I have many enemies in the ninja world. Boom. When Kushina heard Namikaze Minato say this, she couldn't stand her temperament anymore and hit Minato's stomach with a punch. Why didn't his son and grandson of Third Hokage hide their identity? Facing Kushina's successive questions, Namikaze Minato was speechless. Since Minato's remnant chakra appeared to the present, he has said a lot, and a few minutes have passed, and he is about to dissipate. Seeing this, Naruto smiled slightly. Next, I will show you in your mother impure world reincarnation. In order to avoid cumbersome explanations, I will simply seal your chakra temporarily and then integrate it into the body of impure world reincarnation. With that, Naruto sealed the seal with both hands and sealed the remaining chakra of Minato to his chest, and then he looked at Kushina. Then goodbye Naruto then. Kushina waved to Naruto. Naruto smiled and nodded, and sealed the remaining chakra of Kushina to his chest. Finally, he looked at Nine Tails next to him. Next, it's your turn. There was no more blocking. Naruto tore off the seal on the gate, which meant that the 8-sign seal of Nine Tails was also opened. It's as if Tang Seng tore off the Tathagata spell on Wuji Mountain. Roar! Nine Tails roared and rushed out, wanting to take this opportunity to escape quickly. Correspondingly, in the outside world, Naruto's body began to quickly emerge from Nine Tails' chakra. Unexpectedly, Naruto was prepared. He opened his eyes, and the 8-pointed star Mangekyo opened instantly. Nine Tails stopped moving as soon as the action was stagnant, and his eyes became 8-pointed stars. It lay down obediently, letting Naruto put Samahata on his head, swallowing its own chakra, and then transmitting it to Naruto. This process lasted for 2 days. Naruto only kept a small part of Nine Tails' chakra in his body, and he turned all the rest into his own chakra, sealed in the 100 healings mark on his chest. Then he went to Mount Myoboku again and turned all these chakras into Shanshu chakras. When leaving Mount Myoboku, he thought with regret. When the news of his defect was learned by Jiraiya, I am afraid he will no longer be able to go to Mount Myoboku to absorb natural energy. No matter what happens in the future, it's time to find Yin Nine Tails next. At the same time, in a city in Thunder Country, Gaara, Karen, and Naruto Shadow Clone did not find Jinchuriki Yuki in Cloud Shinobi Village after some exploration and perception, but learned about her mission in other cities. So they went directly to Yuki's location. It is possible that Niu, Matabi, has a unique perception, and Yuki also spotted Gaara in advance. She thought it was Akatsuki's organization to capture her, so she went deep into the narrow underground pipes of the city and lured Gaara to follow, intending to annihilate Gaara in one fell swoop. Inside the underground piping system, Yuki ran into a spacious passage and turned to look at the 3 Gaara who followed. Do you think you forced me to come here? In fact, I deliberately lured you to come here. Yuki also confidently looked at Gaara, Shongrin and Naruto's shadow clone and said, and at the same time his hands began to seal. With a bang, all other entrances and exits were blown up and closed. Yuki stared at Gaara and smiled confidently, and continued, since I know you are Akatsuki, then I can't let you go. You misunderstood, we are not from Akatsuki. Shongrin suddenly smiled and said to Yuki. She had a nice face and a kind face. Yuki couldn't help but stop Jaeyin. Looking at the red-bottomed and black cloud trench coats on the 3 of Shongrong, a trace of doubt flashed across her face. Who are you then? Our organization is called Jingshi, and its purpose is to catch the tail beast. Gaara hugged her arms, looked at Yuki blankly, and said coldly. When he said this, his face flashed with embarrassment. After all, he was the subject of the capture some time ago, but he did not expect to capture other Jinchuriki now. It's ironic, however, Blacken's Gaara still obeyed orders due to Naruto's strength and the habit of killing in his heart. For the people of Blacken, don't think in terms of common sense, just like Obito would rather tolerate for more than 10 years than resurrect Nohara Lin, even if impure world reincarnation comes out, Lin is not willing to do it. Hearing what Gaara said, Yuki also felt that he was being tricked, bending over and shouting angrily, go to hell. With that said, she immediately turned into a beast. The terrifying figure of Matabi Niu was revealed. She, like 8-Tails Jinchuriki Killer Bee, is a perfect Jinchuriki. After Yuki's transformation, his strength greatly increased, and a ball of flames sprayed towards the Gaara 3 with his mouth open. After Naruto's shadow clone took the opportunity to leave the mark of Flying Thunder God here, his most important mission has been completed. The power of the flame is huge. It is estimated that it combines the characteristics of the 2 tails, but when the fireball is about to hit the 3 of Gaara, a thick sand wall blocked the fireball attack. At the same time, the sand spread to Yuki's feet and began to climb up along her feet. Seeing this, Yuki roared and rushed directly to Gaara. Two tails are good at pounces. His blue claws contain powerful power. If he is hit by Yuki, who is completely tailed, he will probably be killed directly. It's a pity that Yuki also encountered two mid and close range attacking wizards. Gaara stretched out his right hand, and a huge sand claw immediately condensed in front of him, and slapped Yuki fiercely. Yuki also avoided flexibly and landed on the ground nearby, but she immediately noticed something was wrong, and when she looked down, the ground was already covered with layers of sand. Looking at the entire spacious passage again, the surroundings of the sky and the ground are completely covered by sand. Where did you get so much sand? Yuki asked in surprise. For me, it's not difficult for the stones that shattered the walls and the ground to turn into sand. Gaara said coldly, while the movements in his hands kept on. He controlled the sand to bind Yuki's legs tightly, and then the sand began to move upward along Yuki's body, preparing to completely cover the other side. Yuki also snorted coldly, and the two-tailed chakra burst out all over his body, directly shaking off the sand on his body. Then he slammed straight forward, and the two giant claws were about to slap Gaara and Shongrin's heads. Whoosh whoosh. Just when Yumu was about to succeed, a dozen golden chains suddenly burst out of Shongrong's body, locking her tightly. With a superb level of adamantine sealing chains, Shongrin can not only use this to imprison the completely beasted Yuki to act, but also suppress the two-tailed chakra. Roar! Yuki roared unwillingly, and the second-tailed chakra in his body was immediately dissipated, and she quit the state of complete tail beastization, revealing her original human form. Even so, she was still imprisoned by golden chains. Gaara smirked at this, and pointed at Yuki with both hands in the void. The sand on the ground immediately wrapped the other party and pressed it tightly. Sand-bound Hager. Ah! Yuki also screamed in pain. Hey, we want to catch each other alive, don't kill her. Naruto Shadow Clone quickly reminded. Gaara glanced at Shadow Clone, frowned dissatisfiedly, then scattered the sand, revealing Yuki's figure, and then pinched all her limbs. After severely wounding the second-tailed Jinchuriki from the wooden golem, Naruto Shadow Clone walked forward with a grin, 5 green flames on each of the 5 fingers of his right hand. He opened wooden golem's coat with his left hand, revealing her belly, and buttoned up the 5 fingers of his right hand fiercely. The seal of the 5 elements. What? Wooden golem screamed again in pain, and then passed out into a coma. Well, this way, the second tail can be more stable. Shadow Clone will be carried by wooden golem on his shoulders, with the Flying Thunder God technique, taking Gaara and Shongrin back to Schwerin village. Naruto disbanded Shadow Clone and got the memory of this period of time. He nodded approvingly to Gaara and Shongrin. You did a good job, and I will give you some two-tailed chakras next. Until a day later, Naruto Shadow Clone took Gaara and Shongrin back to the Land of Thunder again. Shadow Clone carried the unconscious wooden golem on his shoulders, and looked at them with a smile and said. Next, we started looking for 8 Tails Jinchuriki. As far as I know, he seems to be in a canyon. Gaara heard Shadow Clone's words, and a smirk appeared at the corner of her mouth. The chakra swallowed by Samahata is completely his own. Unlike before, he had to borrow chakra from one tail and was affected and controlled by it. Now, coupled with his original huge chakra volume, Gaara's chakra volume has reached an astonishing level, and he can use a larger scale and more powerful sand ninjutsu. The strength has naturally improved a lot. Therefore, he is eager to catch another tail beast and increase his chakra. The same is true for Shongrin. Her goal is a ninja like Kisame, who can use massive amounts of water style and even form her own ninjutsu field. Then go early, I can't wait. Gaara urged. Boom. Shadow Clone threw wooden golem's body on the ground at will, and then left with Gaara and Shongrin. Naruto didn't swallow all the two-tailed chakra, but a small part of it was left in wooden golem's body, which was reserved for Akatsuki. He will do the same for the next tail beasts. He wants to see if 10 tails will be born after only absorbing a small part of each tail beast chakra. Half an hour later, Kakuzu and Hidan came to Wooden Golem's side and frowned as they watched the miserable appearance of her limbs being scrapped. It seems that someone is one step ahead of us. She didn't die, but she didn't know that the tail beast in her body was still there. Kakuzu said dully. We won't run for nothing. Oh, that's so annoying. Why don't you let me sacrifice her to Lord Cthulhu? Hidan took off the Shinigami sickle and licked his lips. There is still a small amount of chakra in her body. At this moment, Ju suddenly drilled out of the ground and said blankly. I'll take her away, so hurry up and find Ninetales Jinchuriki, so you don't have to be caught up by others. Huh, are you complaining about us? Kakuzu asked, looking at Ju with an unkind expression on his face. He never spoke, and sank into the ground with wooden golem. Actually, I think I blame you, Kakuzu. Hidan's voice sounded nearby. If it weren't for you to chase that ninja in order to get the bounty, we would have found Niu a long time ago. Boom. As soon as Hidan finished speaking, he was fisted by Kakuzu. Say one more sentence, believe it or not, I killed you. Naruto finally had time to go to Konoha after absorbing most of Yin Ninetales and Niu's chakra one after another, along with Hinata. At the training ground, Naruto came here directly from Shuenin village. Yuhihong should have returned to the village and told Tsunade that he had defected with Hinata. Now, Naruto can clearly perceive 5 ninjas in ambush near his house. Even the Jonin and Chunin in the village are much less. It is estimated that they are searching for themselves outside. Occasionally, I could hear the roar from the Hokage building, and it was obvious that Tsunade was in a very bad mood. Hinata, do you want to go home to see it? Naruto took Hinata's little hand and turned to ask. No, not going back. A trace of loneliness flashed in Hinata's expression. Although she was willing to accompany Naruto, she suddenly defected and became enemies with her father and family, which made her feel a little uneasy. Don't worry, we will come back, and come back in an honest manner. Naruto squeezed Hinata's small hand and comforted. He has a general plan for the future, and he is familiar with the plot, knowing what changes will take place in the next ninja world. At that time, he can become a demon or a hero. As long as he wants. Let's go, someone has found us. Naruto said with a smile, and then a light breeze passed by, and he and Hinata disappeared. A minute later, Inuzukaga and Aburame Shino rushed over, along with Yuhihong and Kakashi. Yeah, where did they go? Shiraihong asked urgently. Inuzukaga did not answer immediately, but together with Akamaru, sniffed around. 10 seconds later, he said in frustration. It should be that Naruto used some method to eliminate the residual smell here, otherwise, according to the familiarity of Hinata and Akamaru and I can definitely find her and Naruto. My bug is too. Aburame Shino also said, there is a bug in front of him, flying around in the same place. Oh, Yurihong sighed, I really don't understand why Naruto also defected. I could have expected Hinata's behavior. With that, Yuhihong looked at Kakashi. The 3 of the 7th class he led have all defected and created the history of Konoha village. Yeah, because Naruto took Hinata away, the head of the Hyuga clan is going crazy now, Inuzuka frowned and said. It is said that he has sent a large number of branch house ninjas to search for Hinata and Naruto in the world of ninja. Kakashi dropped his eyes and looked a little lonely. It seems that I am not suitable to be the leader of the team. This has nothing to do with you. After all, everyone knows about Uchiha Sasuke. Yurihong comforted Kakashi. In her opinion, Sasuke's family situation is too special, even if his teacher is another Jonin, it is likely to defect. No. Kakashi looked up at the sky. Dark clouds gradually gathered in the sky, as if he wanted to rain. He continued, I am also responsible for Naruto's defection. Kakashi said, thinking of Namikaze Minato, thinking of Kushina, thinking of Naruto's childhood from birth to graduation, thinking of his refusal to guide Naruto. At this time, dark clouds have densely covered the entire sky, blocking the last rays of sunlight. Kakashi suddenly thought, if I could give Naruto a light at that time, I'm afraid. At this moment, another figure hurriedly rushed from a distance. Where is Naruto? Uruka ignored the sweat from his forehead and looked around anxiously. Ms. Uruka, he has left, and we can't keep track of it, Inuzukaga said. Uruka punched the huge tree trunk next to him, and actually blasted a hole directly with her physical strength. Naruto, how can you defect? Uruka exclaimed emotionally. After learning that Naruto had defected, Uruka didn't believe it at first, and then she lost control of her emotions. After a while, Naruto took Hinata to a house in a remote corner of Konoha village called Mask Storage Hall. It is a legacy of the Uzumaki clan. After perception, he quickly found a mask with a hideous portrait and special energy, Shinigami mask. It can release souls sealed by Ghoul sealed, including the souls of 1st Hokage, 2nd Hokage, 3rd Hokage, 4th Hokage, and Orochimaru's 2 armed souls. Naruto thought. 2 shadow clone appeared and sank into the ground and disappeared. Then, Naruto held his hand and stopped moving, waiting quietly. Naruto-kun, who are you waiting for? Hinata asked curiously. Hey, wait for the sacrifice used by Impure World Reincarnation. Naruto said with a grin, then turned to look outside, where 3 masked ninjas appeared instantaneously. Look, isn't this here? Naruto smiled at Hinata, not paying attention to the newly appearing 3. Uzumaki Naruto, you are already a traitor in Konoha village, come with us. The masked ninja headed said coldly. Which one of you? Naruto raised the corner of his mouth and asked frivolously. Anbu, I'm here to capture you. The masked ninja continued. Shit, Danzo's roots. Naruto directly broke through their disguise. Root members and Anbu members dress very similarly, but the masks worn by the roots are more colorful than Anbu's masks, and they are not limited to imitating animal faces. The headed masked ninja didn't talk any more nonsense, and when he saw the softness, he directly attacked. The leading masked ninja made a simple gesture to the 2 men behind him, and the 2 genin immediately disappeared in place. Ha! The 2 genin holding short swords quickly appeared in front of Naruto, swiping a knife and slashed over. The headed masked ninja did not move, and stood with his hands tied, waiting for his 2 men to capture Naruto. He is very confident in the strength of the 2 of his men. Both of them are elite ninjas who have experienced many battles and know how many souls are in their hands. Even if they do not reach the level of elite Jonin, they are almost the same. Seeing this, Naruto sneered. When the 2 rude ninjas came in front of them, they punched the ninja on the left side with a punch, and at the same time, with the help of Frog Team Hand blasted the ninja on the right side with natural energy. Boom, boom, Naruto punched down and hit 2 ninjas at the same time. Byakugan. Seeing this, Hinata next to them immediately used Gentle Fist to tap their acupuncture points, making chakra unable to flow all over their bodies and limp to the ground. Opposite, the headed masked ninja saw this, suddenly clenched his fists and his body tightened. The information about Uzumaki Naruto is wrong. The masked ninja resisted the shock in his heart, and without looking at the 2 men who fell to the ground, their arms stretched forward, and 2 groups of black bugs gushed out from the cuffs and swiftly faced Naruto. Are you Aburame Ryoma? Naruto blurted out when he saw this. There are not many rude ninjas he knows who have a name or a surname. There are 2 of them in the Aburame clan. Among them, Aburame took the roots when he was chasing the defected little Sakura before, but he was killed by Naruto. Now this one should be Aburame Ryoma. When the masked ninja heard Naruto's words, he didn't respond. He controlled the insects and was about to surround Naruto. At this moment, suddenly a pair of hands stretched out from under the masked ninja's feet and suddenly pulled him into the ground. These hands were naturally one of the 2 shadow clone that sank into the ground before. However, as an elite Jonin, the masked ninja had been prepared for it, and it was just a worm clone that was dragged into the ground. The worm clone turned into a swarm of worms, attached to the hands of Shadow Clone, and immediately let Shadow Clone dissipate into a cloud of white smoke. At the same time, among the 2 large insect swarms that were about to envelop Naruto's body, the body of the masked ninja suddenly appeared, holding a short sword and slammed into Naruto's body. This masked ninja actually has such a hidden ninjutsu ability. Even if other ninjas dodge to avoid the insects, he also invades close by this, and can definitely attack the enemy by surprise. If it were other ninjas, they would definitely suffer a big loss, or even be killed directly, if they were unprepared and had no knowledge of the other party's intelligence. But Naruto won't. The moment the short sword of the masked ninja pierced Naruto's body suddenly turned into a wind mass, and burst open suddenly, enclosing the masked ninja and the insect swarm behind him. The masked ninja was wounded all over by countless wind blades, and the dense swarm of insects was split in half by wind blades, cleared, and the corpses of the insects were covered with a thick layer on the ground. This is Wind Clone, unique to Naruto. Boom! Naruto appeared behind the masked ninja, inserted Kabuto with his left hand and made a knife with his right palm, slashing fiercely on the opponent's neck, directly knocking the opponent out. The masked ninja opened his eyes wide at the last moment, with an unbelievable look in his eyes. The information about Uzumaki Naruto is wrong. Seriously wrong. Lord Danzo is in danger. Naruto watched the masked ninja fall to the ground, bending over to take off his mask. He wears black sunglasses on his eyes and a purple mark on his right cheek. It is Aburame Ryoma, Danzo's important assistant. Naruto chuckled and turned to look at the other two rude ninjas lying next to him on the ground. The two of them were staring at Naruto with the eyes of the monster. After all, in their intelligence, Naruto was only of Jonin level. Unexpectedly, now their three rude elites were all subdued in less than a minute. Okay, let's get started. Naruto walked up to one of the short-haired roots, and Mangekyo Sharingan flashed in his eyes, and the eyes of the other party became confused. Apparently he was illusionary. Stand up, Naruto ordered. The short-hair root forbearance responded. Naruto buttoned the Shinigami mask on his face, and immediately, a strange energy radiated from the mask. Short-haired Genrin began to dance uncontrollably for a few seconds, and then cut open his stomach with short sword. Oh oh oh, Shinigami appears. A cold wind rose out of thin air, and several groups of souls emerged from Shinigami's belly and returned to the Pure Land. This is the soul of Hokage in the past, and among them is Naruto's goal this time. The root wearing a Shinigami mask succumbed to blood and fell to his death. Naruto drew two 1-meter diameter circular mysterious runes on the ground, placing the masked ninja and another long-haired root ninja in the circle formed by the runes. At this time, another shadow clone finally appeared. He stretched out his hands and 3 pieces of bones appeared in his hands. Then, under the order of Naruto's body, 2 of the bone fragments were placed on the masked ninja and the long-hair root ninja. Naruto's hands quickly formed a complicated seal, and 10 seconds later, a burst of light appeared from the rune under Genin. There was also a lot of dirt. In the long hair roots in the fear-bearing eyes, his body was immediately covered with dirt. In the next second, the long-haired Genin turned into a woman's appearance, with chapped skin and dark and hollow eyes, but one red hair was quite dazzling. 10 seconds later, the masked ninja also became a young ninja with yellow hair. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.